All right. And we're live. Here we go. So welcome everybody who's checking us in from LinkedIn and YouTube and wherever you are today. Welcome to the new world. How's everybody doing? We're all good? There you go. All right. So we're doing a hybrid event. We're talking in person and streaming. I guess that's the future we're living in right now. We're all pretty safe here, I think, and double vax and the whole 9 yards. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun today. So we've been working on this now for quite a while. Do we go back to live events? Do we not go back to live events? But we got to do something at some point, and we think this is the right point. So we're all on it. Our team has been working really hard. Linda and her team is to figure out what's the best way to make this as safe as possible. We've done a few things that's different. One is we don't go to hotels anymore. We're actually going to private local events, local businesses, if you will. We want to support the local economy. We make sure everybody's safe. We don't bring in too many people. We stream it. We give the choice so you can watch it from home. You can actually watch it from outside from your cell phone if you want to. So that's where we are today, and we're going to explore this as we move forward in the future to make it better and better. So this is our first one. If we make some mistakes, please forgive us in advance. And right now we just have a little bit of fun. Right, so today the takeaways, of course, is pretty large. Our job right now is to help the channel community, our tribe, to move forward, navigate the actual channel, and come out of this pandemic bigger, better, stronger, and smarter. That's what we've been doing now for the last year and a half. You're probably tired of seeing me on eChannel News, so I apologize for that again. But right now, let's get started. So I'm going to introduce my first guest. His name is Chris Fox. And he's, of course, the channel chief for Lenovo. And I'm just going to get up and give him the little elbow shake, I guess, here. All right. And you can have a seat right there.
Excellent.
All right. So welcome, Chris. How you doing?
Pretty good, actually. Not bad. How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty damn good. Yeah. So let's talk about, first of all, you. I mean, I saw you start a vlog, I guess. What's that about?
So what we're trying to do is draw parallels between technology and what I love. And that's how it started. And I think it speaks to myself, who I am, because we started with where I live, and then we went on to beer, and then we went on to how we dress, and then just drawing that back to technology and speaking about how our partners can participate in the sales of solutions in tech.
Well, I did see the one in the beer thing, IPA. So what's the thing with IPA and you?
For me,
yeah,
why I love IPA.
Why do you like it?
I love the floral aspect of it. It's just my favorite flavor of beer. That's it.
That's it. Well, it's as simple as it is, isn't it? So let's dig in a little bit into this. So Lenovo, obviously one of the largest hardware companies on the planet, and you guys have been navigating pretty well. We've been watching what's going on. What do you give us a take of what's happened in the pandemic before we move past that?
Sure. So it's been a challenge. We've been speaking to a lot of partners. What's interesting is it took us to do this, to go visit partners and talk to partners pre-pandemic. And I think we got out quite a bit. It was wonderful to shake hands and have a good time. But the current situation, we can now be more virtual. So we're talking to more partners, understanding their pain points, and watching them as they navigate. And we do believe that it's our responsibility to help the partners navigate and invest in how they make their changes. So, partners are going through their own changes in terms of looking for more predictability, embracing more, marketplace or e-commerce type solutions, and looking at vendors and saying, look, who wants to go to the dance? Who's going to stay at the dance right till the final hour? And we're committed. And I think that's what we're starting to realize. And then next is, so what is post-pandemic? I don't want to call it the new normal. It's post-pandemic. It just will be.
Well, everyone is calling it a new normal, so you could do that too.
Yes,
but did any channel community, did some fall off? Did some install? Did some go bankrupt? Or is there all this, they just went through it?
We've seen a lot of M&As, so I wouldn't say you've seen folks fall off. Some, founders, operators, owners that decided to exit the business. We absolutely saw that. But for the most part, you're seeing businesses look for where they have these synergies, and we're seeing those M&As. The M&As, the focus is around security, around recurring revenue, around MSP practice to get closer to the customer. So we see that. We're trying to participate in whatever that adjustment is, and it's going to continue. There's about 6,000 partners, give or take, in the buy sell and MSP model in Canada, give or take. and they're all looking to have their piece.
So as you go around and you did your rounds, right, and you talk with channel partners, what's the number one problem or two that they all faced and they all need to get over if they're gonna, move forward past this thing we're living in?
Probably, if we go back to when this all started, it was we'll get past this real quick. And there was that struggle to adjust the mindset in terms of we need to change our business model. It took some time, but everyone has now embraced and said, all right, so we're changing. So that's what we're seeing. And now it's just that path to that new normal, as you were saying.
So as you speak with them, what are some of the things that you are seeing or you are doing through the Novo to kind of help them, support them through this journey? Are there things that you guys are doing? Are you giving them more money? What are you doing?
We try to give more money. What we usually try to do when we say we're channel first, it really does mean investing in our channel partners. We do see the channel partners as an extension of us. We've got, my team is only about 30, 35 strong, and we need those 6,000 partners to be able to be that Canadian Army for us. So it's extremely important to be able to hit those customers. So when we started going through the pandemic, we went in and said, what are you looking for? And they said, I got to keep the lights on until I figure this out. So we changed the way we invested in the channel and we made it more consistent. So sell and get. Now we're moving back to a model where we're starting to see those that are coming out of it stronger. So we're going back to more of a pay for performance model while still being able to invest in the MDF style, right? The lead generation, marketing demand and all that. But we are starting to put the money where those that are really able to light up their businesses.
And do you see those things being in digital marketing? Is it in, transferring your sales team from a road warrior to a digital warrior? Where do you see the most or the best bang for your buck happening out there?
I probably don't have the perfect answer. I think we're all still trying to figure it out. But what I will say is I think we've accepted the work from anywhere philosophy or hybrid work or whatever you want title you want to put on it. So we, along with our partners, are trying to figure out what is that model. So there's process changes. There is compensation changes. There's mental wellness changes. There's the way that we provide technology to access the customer. All of those are now starting to change. So we're participating much like everyone else.
Do you see your channel programs? What are some of the biggest changes you're seeing in your channel program? Is this around those characteristics now, or are you doing something that's different? I mean, everyone's moving towards a subscription model, right?
Yeah.
And I know you guys are taking a bit of time to make sure you get it right. What exactly is that going to look like, and how are the programs going to be adapted to sort of help the channel facilitate that process?
I suggest from a subscription perspective or consumption, we're not fully there yet. We just recently launched something called TrueScale. So for those that were in our infrastructure business with us before, they would have known that as our consumption model. We've now retitled that as our overall as a service and consumption model, which will hit endpoint, our services, and our infrastructure. So we're heavily invested in understanding where we need to take that. We're not just there yet. I'd say 2022 is probably where you'll start seeing a little bit more meat on the bone. But we've got a worldwide structure now where we're looking to roll out that TrueScale model in all of our geographies. And I'm not sure if you had noticed, we had recently made a change where we're trying to bring the optimization at a worldwide level down to the local geographies. So we've gone with a China and then international sales organization model. North America sits in the ISO model, but that allows us to draw against the global scale that we have and push it into the Canadian market.
So Chris, you started up from just a little bit back on yourself. So you started up quite a bit on a certain level within Lenovo, and you've advanced over the years. You've learned some stuff, right?
Yeah.
And now you're here and helping your whole channel community navigate this pandemic thing we're living in. What are some of the things that you've learned over the years that you're using today to help your channel community to kind of move forward?
Invest in the people. Right. It's great that we all sell solutions and products, but at the end of the day, people are still doing business with people. You don't make a culture based on the product or the solution that you offer. So invest in those people. And when I say that, it's the professional development, it's the teaming, it's the satisfaction. And while we can quantify till the cows come home what production is, I do think that happy employees are productive employees. Making those investments, that's something that I've learned as I've moved up through the organization, that you're only as good as those around you. So I try to surround myself with the best. and make sure that hopefully they know it. Hopefully they know it. But I try to make sure that we stay close and transparent and keep the conversation going.
Makes sense. So back to channel partners, are there things that you're seeing that some of them are doing that's really helping them to accelerate? What secrets can you share with us, without, I guess, calling their names out, unless you do want to call their names out?
So probably a couple things. Some have seen this as an opportunity. This is the time to invest, right? While others may be struggling to understand their path, invest. And those that have taken an aggressive approach, we've seen them grow substantially beyond market. So we see right now we're clipping at anywhere from 25 to 35% year on year in the endpoint every quarter. But we've got partners at 50, 60, 70%. And they're even large, right? Big baselines. So they've made those investments where it counts. We're also seeing that partners have realized those that were shifting over the MSP practice and those that were on the fence have finally said, got to get in. I have to have consistent revenue stream and profit stream. So we're seeing that shift. And then probably lastly is security. The recognition of this work from anywhere, new environment, is security is absolutely number one. And I'm sure that still every IT person out there is still scratching their head at how to keep their employees secure while working at home, while their kids are watching Disney Plus and doing their homework. And it's tough, but the partners have adjusted.
So, I mean, everybody's got to pivot, obviously. And the one big thing that if there was one thing that we saw that this era has sort of ballooned up to the top was cybersecurity.
Yep.
You know, everybody's just working from home. The attack surface is crazy big. Most channel partners were not quite up to speed. This is one thing you can't fake it till you make it.
Yep.
What are you seeing in terms of a security thing, a footprint, if you will, from your community? Do you think your channel partners got it, getting it, or they're doing it? Where do you think?
Some are doing it.
Yep.
Some have specialization in cybersecurity. Others are partnering with those that are specialists. So we do see more partnering with partners, where in the past it really was stay in your own swim lanes. I do what I do well. Whereas now they're realizing that I've got to cross that aisle and say, I need a little bit of help here. How do we go do this together? So we're seeing that, and we're also seeing industry solutions coming out and supporting small businesses or small partners. So I sit as the chair for CompTIA, Canadian Business Community, and some of the things they do there would be building up a security suite or security checklist just to make sure as you're dealing with customers as a partner that you've got the conversation down packed and you've got the back end processes, assurances built in.
Do you see things like your channel community, right? Obviously, most partners, most MSPs are not quite up to speed in digital marketing, for example, and their salespeople can't go meet people as they did before. Do you see any big changes happening there?
Digital marketing can be expensive, and I think that's the problem. And that's partly where vendors like us come into play, where if you've got a plan, let's put it together and let's go invest. And you can get dollars from us that will probably go farther and might have less handcuffs in terms of if things go sideways. When we say partnership, it means when we succeed and fail, it's equal. So that's where we can go take the risk. So for the small partners that may not have the capital or don't have the knowledge, working with folks like us and many others, I think that's a good way to extend the hand and say, look, let's go do this together.
I agree, because I mean, everybody talks about the channel community being not as strong because they're not very good at marketing, blah blah blah. We've heard it a trillion times. The challenge is, what do you do about it, right? So specifically, can you give us an example of how you invest with your partners to help them rock out their digital game?
Some do some really cool things where I get it in my inbox. I'm like, I got to go to that event. Right? It's pretty awesome. There's some great ideas happening, but I think at its core, we just need to sometimes just go back a little bit and understand, what are we trying to do? We're trying to acquire customers. So knowing who the customers are in the Canadian space, that's a starting point. So talking to MSPs or more traditional partners, who are you going after? Is it SMB? Which piece of the SMB, which region, which language, and then being able to understand who you're targeting and then start building the metrics around it, see if it's successful. And that to me is a little bit foundational, but it works and you can repeat it over and over again.
So would you say, let's say a channel partner comes to you and say, hey, Chris, I got this plan. I want to have a really great party or whatever it is they want to do, bring my customers in, and it's going to cost, I don't know, 10 grand.
Yeah.
You guys look at that and you go 50-50, do you go Dutch, or do you go like, oh, we're going to pay 100%?
It depends. Honestly, it actually depends. Usually the way when we speak to our teams, it's the regular the ROI ratio, right? So
Yeah.
what are we going to go get? And it does come down to if we feel that Lenovo will get enough incremental dollars, then we might invest 100%, no cost to the partner. In other cases, we will go a little bit of splitsies. I don't know what the split is, but we do that in some cases.
Split seats sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So looking at the sales people in general right now, right? I mean, of course, pre-pandemic, we had all these digital, road warriors
Yes.
that would press on the flash, dinners, lunches, breakfasts, whatever they were doing, and closing deals everywhere. Now, well, that's not happening as much as before. So what do you think is going to be the next step? Like, how do we convert the salespeople from being road warriors to being digital sales warriors?
It's a really good question. And it's funny, I had my first steak last night and I had to remind myself how I ate my steak. So I do think that we are going to get back to a sense of normalcy. We are, as humans, we crave the social aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that we will get back to that. But in terms of what's a field employee, what's a hybrid employee, what's a virtual employee, that I think dynamic is going to change. So some of the things we can do is just maximizing the travel time, obviously. I think we've learned that a little bit, but also leveraging more modern communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through the way we work with our customers. So using more video, and I'm not necessarily referring to Teams, Zoom, and all that stuff, right? It could be other platforms where you can communicate through email or instant two-way video. I think that's going to be key. We're going to see some strong growth there, as well as modern comms like two-way texting or online chat. Those are the things that will allow us to get closer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what the customers are looking for, just simple, quick, and efficient access.
Do you think the sales folks out there right now in the MSP land, do you think they are there? Do you think they get the hybrid model?
Not yet. I'm shaking my head. Obviously, there are many that do, but because the ecosystem is so large, and many of them are what would be considered, the small of the small business to some extent, and it's not easy to build a robust ecosystem. There's substantial costs. So I do think there's definitely an opportunity to go figure out again, how do you elevate that larger pool of partners to give them those tools or provide them access to those tools at maybe a fraction of the cost that's scalable.
I mean, I think it's something that they all have to invest in at some point because I'm not quite sure when, full face-to-face is going to be back. Look at us. We're just trying this out right now for the first time. So, we had to put on underarm deodorant and perfume or whatever, cologne this morning. I was like, wow, that's weird. But we're all changing as we go forward. And I guess the question then from the channel community is, what would you tell them? Should they just wait and see? So should they make baby steps? What should they do to get back, on the horse, so to speak?
I'm not a big fan of baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, reasonable risk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a risk forward person, but I take risks based on data.
Mm-hmm.
So do your homework, and I think lean forward is what I'd say. This is an opportunity where I'd probably say more people, more companies are in the wait and see cautious mode than there are in the take an aggressive stance and go win in the market. So, those that are willing to go make those investments and take an aggressive stance, now is the time. Waiting, you look at any market, waiting for things to turn, you're behind. Waiting for an RFP to come out, you're behind. Waiting for the market to hit its high, you're behind. And I think the same thing for our business. Now is the time to strike. If you haven't already started, now's the time. You probably have a lead of another 6 months.
Yeah, and reality too. I mean, the channel community has to help every business move forward in the digital transformation.
Exactly.
So if you're not helping that, you are hindering that, right? And that means the whole economy is going to be slowing down. I mean, I have not found a business that does not run in tech, and it's quite interesting. So go big or go home is kind of the message, or at least go big or go home smartly, right? Is maybe a more prudent message. So when you look at the success stories that you're seeing out there, is there one or two things you can point to that says, you know what, we know based on the data this works?
In terms of MSPs or partners in general? I'd probably say I'm going back to the customer space. There was a lot of spraying approach in the past, right? If we get our name out there, if we work on referrals, we'll continue to keep the lights on, stay profitable. And I won't argue that still works. But again, going back to understanding the market and how we attract those customers is key. One of the learnings through a lot of our partners is, whether we like it or not, we've all learned through COVID that we have to order online. All the products we need at home, we have to order online. As the same type thing now, technology, a lot of it now has to be done online, whether we like it or not. So adapting to the marketplace style, sales and services is key. Curbside deliveries, hybrid type modeling, those are some of the adjustments.
Do you see your channel communities, like I know there was the recent merger, we chatted a bit about it way back when, with Tech Data and ChannelNEXT, profitability, credit lines, all that stuff come into play. How was that panning out, 60 days in?
So they're still going through, and again, I can't talk on behalf of their business, but in terms of what I think will have an impact in the market, I'll touch on. In terms of, they're still going through it. I think the last quarter of the calendar year is when we'll start seeing their changes based on what they've shared with us. I've spoken to some partners. We've asked the questions, right? Do you feel like there's going to be an impact? And to be perfectly honest, it's been a good experience. Between things, they set up a concierge desk in between the two, legacy organizations, just to make sure that credit's available. There's more inventory available, leveraging all the warehouses versus just one set of. So far, it's been very promising. And a competition is good. So even though you're seeing a merge of two, we still have other distribution partners out there that are willing to compete. So, I do think that there's no negative. If there's anything, I'm looking optimistically at working with them as a combined organization.
When you look at one of the things that a lot of MSPs tell us about the combined credit, what is that going to do? It's going to merge into one, but we'll leave that for another day. But if you look at the profitability of the MSP community today, would you say your partners are more or less more profitable?
So it depends on what we're looking at in terms of product sets, right? You have your core, your infrastructure, and then your services. From a core perspective, feedback is that we're more profitable than the others. We have some strong accelerators, and when the partners figure those out, they get pretty darn happy. And then I'd say we're still figuring things out in terms of our infrastructure. The good part is, we chatted about this, we're coming back together. What's old is new, right? Nostalgia is fun. So we're bringing that business back together, and that'll be interesting because we can start leveraging the dollars on the bigger side of the business. Just to give you an idea, our endpoint business in Canada, it's about 950 million, give or take, in the channel in Canada. And it's about 100 for our endpoint or our infrastructure business. So by combining that together, they have economies of scale, greater partner reach, and we have predictable profit dollars being kicked back into the channel. So I think that we'll be able to answer that in terms of profitability back to the partners for a wider set of solutions.
A lot of MSPs think, forget the hardware thing, all right? Let's just focus on the service thing, recurring revenue, et cetera, et cetera. What would you tell them why hardware is as important now as it was 10 years ago as part of your managed service business?
So I'd argue both, right? If you're looking at this, as a service economy, that we still need to get to a better offering, that product could bring in that rest of the ecosystem, the stuff that you really, really want, whether it be your managed professional, the help desk, and every security, that does bring in other components. And at the end of the day, that's the thin edge into the businesses. The banks need thousands of machines. Every SMB needs, three different things per user. So that still is a wedge. But at the same time, we also recognize that it's not just the traditional endpoint. So that's why we're investing in now IoT. We're investing in, managed and professional services where we can work with our partners. We're getting into edge computing so we can connect, that hybrid data center to the cloud and be in between. So I'd argue the point for, and I'd also argue against that. Well, not argue against, but argue the fact that we've recognized that we have to go and be a greater player in the solution space and the services space.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's not an either or, it's both, right?
It's both.
It's almost like common sense, right? If you don't sell the hardware, someone else will, who's also selling services, who's going to compete with you eventually. So you've got to do both. Recently, and I'll talk about one of your competitors, Dell. They announced that they want to do, we're going to do direct, and we're going to do indirect, and we're going to do both. Give customer choice. It's almost like this flip-flop thing going on. Well, is everybody at Lenovo smiling? What's going on?
Well, I've been doing this for almost 13 years, and I know that we've been consistent. Since the day I started, I was told we're channel first. And still to this day, we're channel first. So what I'd say is right now, internally at Lenovo, we're very happy because we already had said that we're doubling down on the channel through our worldwide strategy. So whatever their message is, it gives us a great opportunity to go talk to the partners and say, look, how do we do more business together? What's it going to take? What do you need? We'll take any opportunity we can get.
I mean, obviously they say they're doing both, they're growing both, that type of thing. I get it, right? But I think at some point you've got to pick a side. I mean, and I think we've hashed this horse to death, if you will. Yeah. And I'm so against it, I can't even contain my words. But why give competition ammunition to go out there and do whatever they're going to do? Yeah. And of course, everybody's okay for everything until someone loses a deal. Exactly. Right, and then is when the rubber's going to meet the road. So Lenovo has no problems in actually saying that they'll not do that, but that's great news. So moving forward, what do you want the channel partners to know about Lenovo that's moving out of this pandemic? What do you want them to know about you and why they should play with you?
Well, I think just following on that question, it's the fact that we're channel first. And I'm not saying that sometimes it sounds good channel first, but you've got to go ask the partners, right? Do they mean it? Do they live and breathe when they say channel first? And I do strongly believe that while no one's perfect, no organization's perfect, we're committed. And we truly see the channel as that one-to-many army, and we're going to continue working with them. So what's nice is our channel partners have educated us on many occasions in terms of where we need to go. So what I'm excited about is we take that channel first and the education that they've given us free of charge, how to continue working better with them around that solution set. So adapting more of their business model versus more of a traditional buy and sell. So that's going to be, I would say, the journey into 2022 that we'll see from our organization.
And you personally, what's your vision for the next while? What are you going to do? What's Chris going to do to go out there and pound them and get your channel community moving in the right direction?
So we're going to be looking at, we're changing the structure in terms of how we service our channel partners. So we've had an approach where, and it's worked for the past 3 years since I started in this role, where we had a geographical approach where we would support our partners locally, make sure they had access to really everything they needed at Lenovo. But as we start seeing their businesses adjust, as well as now this hybrid workforce, we've got to adjust. So we're looking at more of an acquisition model. And when I say acquisition model, it's just better profiling our partners to understand who they are, what industries they're in, which customers they're servicing, so we can better adjust our strategy with them. And that'll be, it might sound relatively simple, but I think that's the incremental adjustment that we need to make so we can get that much tighter with the partner community.
Well, you've got your work cut out for you. Looking at the channel community and just wrapping this up, so obviously everybody's out there. The economy is what it is. I'm not quite sure exactly how it is, but let's say it's it's doing great. Where do you see the economy and how that's impacting certain sectors? Like I know retail's been hit hard and so on. Are you seeing your channel partners in certain sectors? Would you say, hey, watch out that sector?
It's an interesting question because we've been having these conversations with our channel partners. There's a lot of data out there, but the data is sometimes a little bit pricey. So our channel partners don't necessarily have access to the industry data and the forecast data. So we spend a lot of time trying to educate, not educate in terms of telling our partners where to go, but just providing that landscape in terms of, hey, watch out, you're really strong in this industry. The prediction is that they're going to either stop the spend or be flat, but this industry is going to be pumped with additional dollars. They need technology. So absolutely, there's a few sources out there that look at government, commercial business, financial institutions, SMB, so on and so forth. And that allows us to navigate, because what's interesting, if you look at the overall economy, especially in the endpoint or the infrastructure business, it's either down or flat. So we as a business with our partners, we don't accept down or flat. It's always, how do you grow at least 10% greater than market? So you have to know where to go. So we spend our time now working with our partners to say, look, I think we have to be in the education space, or we need to be in the SMB space, this size of the SMB space. And that's been really helpful. And the partners have been really receptive in terms of having that advice brought forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's no sense going into a market that is on a downward trend. Are there any particular markets that's blowing up right now in your view?
Mid-scale SMB, absolutely just blowing up. The banks are starting to buy again, thankfully, because they had paused at the start of the pandemic. We've seen substantial K-12 spend, just making sure that the students had access to devices, whether it be at home or at school, depending on your province. But the one that's consistent, that continues to prove as a great place to be, is SMB. And the way the Canadian market works is SMB goes down to 10 users pretty much, up to 1,000. But what's awesome is I think the stat is 97% and change of businesses registered in Canada are SMB. So if you're not there, you're going to continue to fight for the same contracts. So it's really great to have a diverse business so that you can have that consistency and then go for the big pops, right, in the different industries that are maybe a little bit larger.
There you go. That's great stuff. Chris, I'll leave you with the last word. What do you want channel partners to take away about what, your vision of Lenovo, where you guys are headed in the future, and why they should be jumping on board with you right now?
So really, I hope the interest from our partners is again, that we haven't lost our focus on working with our channel partners in Canada. And if we were a certain defined partner, albeit endpoint to some, I suggest that they challenge that position that we've been in the past and look at us as more of a solution organization. So Lenovo 360 is going to be what's coming out at a worldwide level that we'll be able to deploy in Canada. And that is going to be, we're going to change our processes, we're going to change our programs, we're going to change our solutions to hit on the as a service and consumption. So I think that's going to be a very interesting pivot for us. So for those that didn't know us as that in the past, reconsider us. Those that are already working with us now, double down with us, much like we're doubling down with them.
There you go. Those are marching orders. So, the world is obviously changing. Thank you very much. We're going to continue the conversation. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Pleasure as well. Thanks for having me.
All right. Give me the elbow jab.
There you go. Almost. Yeah.
All right. So we'll jump into the next session right away because we just have no time to waste. So Paulo and Glynis, if you're around, come right up. So again, just while they step up here, our challenge right now is helping the whole community sort of like get better, right? And the challenge is, how do we bring vendors to you? How do we help you understand what they're doing and that type of thing? So that's the biggest first takeaway right here, all right? So while Glynis is setting up, we'll get the conversation started. So Paulo, if everybody doesn't know Paulo Del Nevizio, he's channel chief of Jolara.
Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
Post editor of
That's right.
another magazine that sort of competes with us. And he knows a lot about this channel. So Paulo, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I wanted to ask Chris, and I know he's still there. The thing about the channel that I find really exceptional about it is it's the history of it, right? And so Lenovo, I know we want to talk about digital first, but just let me indulge myself here just for 1 second. Lenovo, if you look about the history, it comes from IBM, right? And in 1981, what was the most significant thing that IBM did? The launch of the first IBM PC, right? What did that start off? It started off this great channel industry ecosystem that we have here. Because without that move, there's no channel, there's no buying and selling of technology the way we see it today. Number two, it launched Microsoft and Intel, the Wintel duopoly that moved forward, right? So when you're talking about your strategies, Chris, it just reminded me, and September of 2021 currently, and I believe it's 40 years to the day. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it's the 40th anniversary of the IBM PC now through Lenovo and of the channel that we love and endear ourselves to. So I just wanted to mention that because I was just thinking about that. Well, and you were you're a big part of this too.
Thank you for the history lesson there. Our old IBM stand for I bought Mac, but we'll leave that for another conversation. All right. So
no one got fired buying IBM.
Yeah. Also, look what happened to Apple today. All right, but let's move forward. Let's get past that.
Sure.
We're going to be talking about this digital first economy. All right, we're all in it, swimming in it.
Right.
Like this is new stuff. Like
Yep.
coming in the water is really
Yep.
cold
Yep.
type thing.
Yep.
What is your take right now on this digital first economy that we're living in?
My take is simply this, right? If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem, right? So, and this is I talk about this with partners every day when I speak with them. It's relevance, right? And if you're not digital, you're not being relevant. You know, Chris talked about 6,000 channel partners, and I talked to one last week that's just not ready to make the move, and I said to him, like, what about your relevancy to your customers right now? He goes, well, right now everything's working fine, so I'm just going to stay status quo. So they're not evolving, right? So if you're not evolving, you look at sorry to always bring you up, Chris, but just resonates with me. Lenovo 360, why are they doing that? Because it is an as a service market. Who has pioneered this? Oh, Glynis is here.
Right.
Let's time out for Glynis here.
No, that's good. Carry on. Well, this is a whole, you can sit right there. This is how it works in live stuff.
How are
So I'm no real talk show host and live stuff. You know what I mean? We just do it the way we see fit. And but yeah, we're just talking about Lenovo because apparently Lenovo's paying you some money, I think.
No, they're not paying me anything. But like they're a hardware vendor, right? But still, they want to be relevant to the channel
I'm
partners
just
out there.
joking with you.
I
Yeah.
thought it was a history lesson.
It
I
was
thought that's what this was.
Well,
I'm schmoozing in the back, and I'm missing out on history.
Well, he's going through my bio, and I just thought, I've written about the channel my whole entire
we
career.
don't
So
wrestle in life. So
I'm not playing history.
welcome, Glynis Divine, right? So Glynis is Divine. Her name is Divine. What a crazy name for it to be to have as your last name. So welcome. She's in the channel leadership business. She teaches you how to become leaders. And let's start with that question as well. Today in the digital first economy, right? Does leadership matters, or should we just not lead?
Oh, it matters more than ever. I would say that in the history of business, we've never needed strong leadership like we need now. Our people are looking to us for direction. It's a fire hose. It's been very divisive, right? We've got people that are thriving and have so much business they don't know what to do with, and in some cases can't build the infrastructure fast enough. And we've got others who got, I love the expression Zig Ziglar says, cooked in the squat. They were waiting for things to go back to the way it was and kind of lost the ball. Both need strong leadership like never before. And I think for the people that back in February 2020 were doing a little bit of strategy and went back to the drawing board, they were really nicely positioned because they knew what their anchor was. They knew what their driving force was, what their superpower was. And if you knew what your superpower was at that point, you could build it on the fly. Now, to coin your phrase, and I love the phrase you've been using the last little bit, endemic.
Well, pandemic, yeah.
I'm just so happy to be with real life people. I'm not so happy about putting on high heels, but I'm really happy to be with people.
Well, I'm on deodorant, so we're all doing something for the first time.
There you go.
First time,
Nice
19
haircut,
months.
by the way. Yeah.
There you go.
So as we move into endemic, I think it's a chance to, for heaven's sakes, don't press pause, but certainly step a little bit back to say, okay, for those that built it on the fly, why did it work? What do we love and what don't we? Because there's a choice that can happen now. We can direct and amplify what's really working, and we can have the power to know what to say no to and what to say yes to.
We're going to jump back into the leadership question, but of course, the economy does this K thing, right? K means you're doing really good, you're going up the K curve, or you're sliding down really, really badly. So it depends on who you talk to. Life is great, or life is not great. What are some of the things that you're seeing that's challenging the tech sector right now when it comes to this digital first economy?
I think the key thing is, the ability to help their customers scale up and, endemic, pandemic, maybe even scale down, right? I always make this analogy of Netflix, right? Why is Netflix very successful? Because you know what, if they're not giving you what you need, you can cancel like this and there's no harm at all, right? And next month, if they have some good shows or maybe a movie that you want to see, go right back up. So I think, you need to like partner with, those types of service vendors that, give you that ability to scale up and scale down as your customer needs. I think that's one of the biggest challenges moving forward.
Like Netflix, for example, they've been a little thin in their content the last year, but I guess it's a
Well, you
pandemic.
see how the competition is coming out.
Of course.
So, like, okay, they're relevant, right? Their model is, and that's the way IT is being consumed these days, right?
It's a great point. Scaling
yeah,
up,
scaling up
down.
and scaling down, because that's what happens, right? When you're before the pandemic, no one ever even thought about scaling down, we're growing, but now all of a sudden, wait a minute, I got to move people over to a home environment. What does that look like? Can I replicate the same thing in the office that I can at home? Like, how do I do that, right? And so, yeah, I think channel partners need to, look at those other service partners who can do that and help them out to move forward.
Well, since I follow you in the cybersecurity business, that's one of the markets that just have sort of taken off, right? So, I mean, there's like 3 million jobs, right, that's short in this industry. People can't
Probably
find-
more.
Probably more.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are probably, taking a lot of those people. So if you guys are growing, it's hard to find people, but it's difficult for a channel partner, regular channel partner, to sort of do what you guys do. So, should they be partnering with somebody like yourself, or should they be baking this or building this in-house?
I think they should be partnered with us. We have over 60 open positions that we can't find. So it goes to your point, but absolutely. Like, if you're a channel partner and you want to offer security, what are your choices? You're going to have to like try and find some other partners to build it on yourself, and how much money you're going to invest in that. Or you can partner with Jolera, get like some of the most state-of-the-art, always up-to-date, fixed cost as a service solutions in security and backup and things like that, and go to market, and you can brand it as your own too. We allow that at Jolera. And plus, we have a very deep and talented bench. We can, like I said, we always continue to hire. So if you have project work and let's say you're focused on Montreal, but your customer is now going to expand out to BC, how does that work, right? Well, if you partner with Jolera, we have people in BC to help you out. So that's our model moving forward. That's how we help channel partners.
Absolutely.
MSPs.
MSPs always ask me, what's the low-hanging fruit? What's the first thing I could do to actually scale my business? And the answer is always, well, cybersecurity is probably the only answer. If you want to learn about another 100 or 500 companies that do cybersecurity, go to Each on the News. I interview them almost every day. I'm not a cybersecurity expert, but I feel like I'm becoming one day by day. Let's talk about this leadership questions, Glennis. It sounds sometimes pie in the sky. Hey, you should be a better leader. What you should do, buy more beer and pizza for the team. What does better leadership look like?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I'd say right now, it's twofold. It goes back to the old adage of being good in our skin, understanding what makes us tick. Being authentic has never been more important. For most of us that are building relationships on a screen, there's that whole, I was just talking to Michelle about it, there's that whole energy layer that's missing, right? We're looking at a flat screen of black boxes sometimes, or a customer's face that we just don't have that tactile spidey sense about. And so listening has never been more important. Paying value to the person, actively listening, not thinking about what our response is going to be. And I was 28 years in sales. You had to be fast on your feet. Now it's almost like we're programmed to be fast. And what we really need to do is take it just a bit slower, to be able to reflect, to hear, to listen. People are really hungry to be heard more than anything.
And another thing too, just go ahead.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Absolutely, sure.
Glynis, in terms of leadership, are you seeing leadership today in all sorts of shapes, sizes, and forms out there? And if that's the case, should you be open to new types of leaderships and new types of leaders that are moving forward like that?
So that's a really good question. Yes, there are a lot of types of leaders. I think there always have been. I think the most prevalent high achieving leader is somebody who's tapped into their authenticity. So it's not about, model yourself after someone, not to be like someone. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Recognize that strong leaders have skills and qualities. When we say we admire someone, it's because it mirrors us, right? Something within us. So find what resonates in you that's authentic and magnify that. That's my answer for leadership. Leaders take all kinds of shapes and sizes, yes. I think that often, as senior leadership teams, we see somebody who's really good at what they do, and we say, oh, let's put them in a leadership position. Leadership skills are entirely different from the skill set that made them a top performer, right? And so we need to recognize that people that have those intangible soft skills that can engage other people, that's a leadership skill, right? It's not about being a high performer necessarily. You need to be a high performer and engage others to be high performers. Mm-hmm. So authenticity has never been more important. That, coupled with the fact that so much of our business world is artificially recreated, we're looking for something that's real and genuine.
And a lot of leaders also got to figure out, how to deal with things like mental stress right now with there's a lot of people hitting the wall. What is the cabin fever is the name for it. People, this last 18 months, we've seen about half of the women in the tech industry leave it, right? That's a massive number. I could be misquoting.
That's an exodus.
But it's a massive number. And I think it's primarily because they're the primary caregiver at home with their kids and so on. I don't know what the answers are. I don't have any data to back anything up, but what it means is that we now have less talent. So let's talk about this diversity issue that we hear a lot about. Why is that important, and how does MSPs and get into that game of being diverse in their community, their team, if you will?
The whole diversity why is because our market, we have to reflect our market, right? If our sales pool looks a certain color and texture, we have to mirror that in our leadership, making the decisions. Otherwise, we're making decisions with a very, very narrow view of our market, right? So yes, it has to be diverse. You got to have a lot of voices at the table, a lot of experience at the table, a lot of perspective at the table. So that's all really important. The biggest challenge IT has right now is we don't just have women leaving the IT business. We have so much job creation that we're not backfilling, and we're not for either, right? I was reading a stat last week, I can't remember where it came from, but it said that we are going to suffer from $1 trillion revenue loss because we don't have, you're saying 60 new people that you got openings for right now. That's not an anomaly. That's going on everywhere. So we do need a diverse, and to your point, I'm not sure exactly what the cause of women leaving so much is. Definitely something that I'm starting to have a lot of conversations around. The gap has always been, the parity gap has always been huge. If anything, the experience that I've seen women working in the tech sector, is the fact that they have more flexibility than ever, right? We see companies that are giving up prime real estate in Montreal because they've gone work from home and it's working, right? The cybersecurity issue, that's a whole new layer to that. But that's giving people security. But to your other point is, it's also blurring the boundaries between that work and life, right?
Yeah, your business has to reflect the people that's buying your stuff. But before I've got this a new survey.
Can I just talk about diversity for a second? Because I led a lot of programs in terms of getting more women involved in the IT sector. And the good news is, we're going to be talking about digital first endeavors and everything. I think women have definitely gravitated to the digital side of this industry in greater numbers than they did previously, right? Yes, they are leaving in terms of the traditional roles. And why is that? I don't know. But I've always said, and I truly believe this, if you're a leader and you have a company, you have to try and strike a balance. When you don't have that balance, you have a real problem. And let me quickly tell you this really neat story. It's really funny. But if you guys remember voice technology, right? Back in the day, well, it was only developed by men, right? I won't mention the name of the vendor, but you all know who it is. Developed by men. No, it's the other one.
Okay.
But it was the same issue in Nortel. All developed by men, and none of those developers ever thought that a woman would buy this product. Well, a colleague of mine did buy this product, and she lost her voice trying to teach the system how to accept that, right? Why was that? Because they never thought about it, because there was no balance in those teams, right? That's the problem that we have in this industry.
Didn't look for the opportunity in there.
And missed opportunity too, because no one's like, did you think a woman was part of any of that development plan going forward? I don't know, but I highly doubt it, right? If there was, someone would have said, hey, wait a minute, have you ever thought about this?
Women will use that, carpooling their kids, Pinteresting a recipe, writing an a shopping list on notes, curling their hair. So I'm told. I don't know that any woman that does all of that while they're driving.
Sorry, Julian. Go on.
Well, to cap that off, if we add artificial intelligence into the equation and only a bunch of guys that's building that out, I hate to know what the world's going to be like in the next 5 years.
Try that bilingually when you are voice texting. She hasn't caught up with me.
Bilingually. Yeah. Merci. Okay, I put my glasses on because I can't read it without them. There's a brand new research piece just came out yesterday. The embargo got lifted from AppDirect, and I just want to quote you some numbers to show you how crazy the digital world is sort of exploding. So the survey says 45% of SMBs has most or all of their applications on the cloud, and that's up from 24% in 2017. The SMBs are facing difficulties with cloud-based apps, primarily in migration and maintenance. 51% purchased directly from a vendor. 49% purchased indirectly, but indirectly is growing faster. Tech knowledge, customer service, and pricing are the top 3 reasons why these SMBs buy from the channel. So if you're a channel partner and you're listening to that, that's pretty good marching orders. Bundles, 36% of SMBs bought bundles. So if you're going to want to do something, bundle something. Since COVID, 77% of SMBs increased their resilience on technology, their reliance. They went all in. Sadly, 52% said that they made a poor choice in their response to the pandemic. So they just bought what the salesperson was selling, and that's pretty much what happens. You need the channel to guide you there. Daniel Sachs, he's the co-founder and CEO of AppDirect, and if you don't know who AppDirect is, it's one of the leading commerce providers for SaaS applications on the planet. He says it's pretty simple. SMBs are eager to adopt new tech, pretty obvious. They're eager for expert advice, that's the channel community, in how they could choose and how they can make this thing work seamlessly, right? And at the end of the day, the opportunities are crazy unlimited. So if MSPs are looking for a way forward to figure out how they should get involved, this whole digital transformation game is now, blown up, right? And all around SaaS and software and things like that. And that's where the business is. So go there, get there fast, and that's where the business is going. It's basically blowing up.
Yeah.
What are your comments about that data piece there? Does it make sense to you, or?
It makes total sense. I'm not surprised at any of those numbers. I would just say this: if you're a channel partner at MSP, you should be thinking about two words: trusted advisor. Right? Are you going to be that trusted advisor to your customers? Because that's what they're looking for. They're not looking to sort of have an in-house IT team. Some do. It all depends on what the business needs, right? And it's always different. But that's what they're looking for if they're going outside to get a channel partner or an MSP. And then the other thing I would say is with that, and knowing that customer's business inside and out, as well as your own, the customer experience, right? What is the outcome that they're looking for, right? If that one that you mentioned about pricing, right, and that led to that making the bad mistake, well, okay, well, you have to figure out like what is the best next step for that customer. So providing a really good overall customer experience that provides the right outcome, that's more of a business discussion than it is selling, point solutions.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a funny feeling that 52% that say they made the wrong choice, I wonder how much fast fell into that, right? We can buy fast, we can buy affordable, we can buy sustainable. Rarely do we get all three, right? And in our uptick of this whole pandemic, I think everybody was looking for fast. It would have been nice if we got the other things along with it. And so I can't help thinking that's what drove the 52% that said that they made the wrong buying decision. To bundles, oh my golly, I can so relate to that. There, with business coming in like a fire hose, with so much potential there, we need more trusted advisors in all of our life, more than we have ever before. And for the trusted advisor, we need listening skills big time, right? We need to understand our client's business and what they're looking for. And I think we've gone from a selling style. I used to go into Baskin and Robbins. Baskin and Robbins gives me anxiety because there's 31 bad decisions that I can make. And the sad part is I always walk out with the exact same thing. Chocolate mousse royale on a sugar cone. But every time it takes me 15 minutes because I look at all the other offerings and I imagine the pleasure that they'll give me. And yet I go back to the tried and true, right? And I think that with so many, you mentioned hundreds of different solutions out there, it's extremely overwhelming. And if I have a trusted advisor who says, here's 3, this is my recommendation, this is my recommendation, this is my recommendation, it still arms the buyer with choice, but it really narrows it down a lot. We don't have time to make micro decisions like that a million times a day. It's keeping us away from what's important. So I totally relate to the bundles.
Well,
Make
I
it
thought I was
easy.
the only one having the problem with Baskin Robbins, but mine is Jamocha almond fudge. What's your favorite ice cream?
I like lemon sorbet, but
That's weird.
well, I'm Italian.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So moving past ice cream, the channel community, obviously, they need to kind of have some guidance, right? And who are we to give, the guidance to the channel community? We're trying to bring all the experts together, different perspectives, giving it to you so you can kind of make that decision yourself, right? When it comes to, the digital first economy, and we hear digital transformation, we've seen Microsoft grew like crazy. They're adding over 7,000 new partners every month, right? The world's gone, digital, right?
Yep.
What exactly is an MSP sitting back, looking at that, saying, what do I got to do? Because they themselves may not be digitally transformed.
No.
And now they're tasked with literally flying the plane while, building the engines. So how should MSPs approach digital transformation for themselves and then their customers?
Wow, that's a $64,000 question. I guess one step at a time. It goes back to again listening to the customer. I just your question made me think about these 2 particular partners who are in remote areas. One's in Thompson, Manitoba. The other one is in the northern BC. And, they have communities there, right? There's a local indigenous community, there's a local healthcare community of customers there that they need to service, and they need to get them digital, right? Because what do they all have in common? They have patient records that need to be secured, but also retrieved at a moment's notice for making very important, health decisions, business decisions, community decisions, and things like that. So I think it just goes back to the basics. I know it sounds like a very simple way to answer this question, but find out, what are the pain points, how to develop it. That's how you become a trusted advisor. That's how you get them on a digital first path.
Well, it's a big question. It's a big
Yeah.
question that we tackle every day at our organization. And I would say that for MSPs out there, look internally first. You need to get your shopping gear. What do you look like digitally? What's your website looking like? What's your automation tools looking like? Are you able to deliver service tickets efficiently? Can you get a job done? All right? Or are you still writing stuff on paper and Excel sheets? So I think you got to do that. Then you got to look at your team as well, right? How are they looking digitally, right? What's their profile on things like LinkedIn? What are they doing on Facebook? Is what they're doing reflective of your company? They're representing your company. Is your leader still hiding behind the wall, or are they out there putting themselves out on LinkedIn? And because obviously I mentioned LinkedIn because that's our community in the tech world. We're not that much in a consumer world, but you need to be there, right? And so there's a process, and it's a very long process, but it's a critically important process. I would say we are beyond the time of, my website doesn't really do much, all right?
Or brochureware.
Or brochureware. We're beyond. I have I go on LinkedIn once in a while, right? We're beyond that, right? Digital marketing is revolutionary, evolutionary. Put whatever word blank you want in there, but you need to be in that space, right? And so for me, digital transformation starts from within. You need to look at yourself in the mirror. As Michael Jackson said, I think you have to look at the man in the mirror. And then from there, you got to say, am I ready, right? Am I digitally transformed? Then you need to turn that on your customers because, I just want to stress this one last point, and that is while you're transforming your business digitally, it's as important to transform your customers' businesses digitally, because if they don't, they go under and you lose a customer. It's obvious, right? So that's why digital transformation is no longer nice to have. It's a must do very quickly. What do you want to add?
I when you were saying that, I reacted to, your opening comment was, what is the MSP who's sitting back? I don't think there's any MSP sitting back right now. If they are, they're thinking about career transformation, right? I think that everybody who is thriving right now has been moving at the speed of light. And my caution there is, so you mentioned get good inside, and I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said. I think we need to be really, really careful about this or mentality, right? Or I'm out in the field blazing trails, or I'm doing strategy. And we can't afford that. Yes, we need to do strategy more than ever before. We got to get good with who am I? What are my core values? What do I want to be known for business-wise? Does my digital image reflect my personality, my mission, my vision, my values? All that stuff is true. I caution leaders from knowing they need to do that and still blazing trails for fear of missing out, right? And my whole family is aerospace, and I think of an aircraft, right? It takes a ton of energy to get off the ground. But if you maintain that energy, you burn out. And if you stay on the tarmac coasting, you never get off the ground. So it's a case of giving it and then pulling back the throttle a bit to get maximum airspeed, right? And I think in business, leaders need to look at that as well, right? We've given it, we've gotten in the air. Now we need to look at, okay, where are we strategically going? How can I get the best mileage out of this, right? And it absolutely starts with the leader. Know what your superpower is. Know your target numbers. Know your target audience. Know who you serve and what their pains are and what your solutions are. And don't veer from that. There's so much business out there. We need to get crystal clear at what we're good at and do just that. And then, as you say, make sure that all our people are on board with that as well, one bite at a time, so that we're not juggling and wasting our energy in too many
I know
places.
one of the issues is, though, like a lot of MSPs are, I call them lifestyle VARs, right? And, they've done very well over their course of their careers. And so, they have the cottage, they have the boat, they have all, they have the vacation home in Florida, and they're doing well. So they're thinking,
they're not going to change.
do I really need this digital first thing that Julian is hammering over there?
No.
At Paul, do I really need this? Because things are going all right. And then what happens, right? Chris spoke about a lot of M&A activity in the channel. God, I can't tell you how many times I've written articles about this channel partner buying another one, and it goes back to relevancy, right? That's leadership, right?
Yep.
Are you going to lead, or are you going to sit back and rest on your laurels?
Without a doubt, if you are like one of the folks that's a bit older and you're retiring, you're digital what? You really don't care about that stuff. But in reality, the companies who are here and who want to move forward, digital what means everything to their business. I know, Glynis, you do a thing, and we don't have much time for it, but you actually have a way to actually help people test their personalities. You have this little test that you've done at some of our events in the past, and
I have a new one too.
you have a new one. There
I
you
do.
go. Check
I
it
have a
out.
bunch
If
of
I was an MSP or a business or vendor, I would actually check it out, because it's really interesting when you understand that there are roughly 4 types of people that you deal with in life and business in a company. And when you understand what makes them tick, as a leader, it's actually much easier to actually, do things with them and make them, perform well. So we can't do it now, but maybe just give a very brief message about that.
Well, yeah. So what you're talking about is core motive. It's why people do what they do. And I work with primarily women leaders, and it's about understanding why you do what you do so that you can do it better, right? And so that you can lead stronger, more authentically, have peak performance, all that jazz. And that's been a primary tool in my executive coaching toolbox. This past year, I've distilled that to an even more distilled message, and that is currency. So you mentioned baby boomers, how they're ready to put their feet up on the desk, and we hear this from millennials, who are itching to move and achieve and experience all those baby boomers have, and they go, my leader is my challenge, right? They're just ready to coast off into retirement. You know what? It's not an age thing, because I have an uncle who's 95 who plays hockey 3 times a week. I have a colleague of mine, 39, who just took up doing half marathons. There's always people in those baby boomers who are high achievers. What I've learned over the last 18 months is it's more about what our intrinsic value system is. So if you've got achievement as one of your core needs in life that juices you, that fills you up, that makes you feel whole and authentic, then you're going to jump on the wave right now and dive headlong into the digital age. If you're motivated by innovation, by stimulation, life moving fast, you're going to jump into the digital age. You may be one of those people, doesn't matter what age you are, that says, no, I'm more about the experiencing life, the magic in the moments, not creating something. So that's why it's so important for a leader to understand absolutely what is your driving force, so that you make the right decisions going into this wholly digital era, so that you know what to say yes to, but more importantly, so that you know what to say no to. So that when you are sitting in the cottage on the deck, you're enjoying it wholly and not sitting regretting all the things that are not going on in business. And when you're driving headlong into business, you're not sitting there thinking, I should be taking a vacation. Be real, be whole, be in the moment.
Yeah, and if we're 95 and we're playing hockey, damn, that's a
I love that.
thing.
Yeah.
You need to give me the number there.
95.
That's amazing.
I think I'm gonna play that guy. Anyways, you know, looking at the MSP community and just wrapping it up, I don't know how much time we have left, but 10 minutes or so. So, you know, if we look at giving these MSPs, I hate the word advice, you know, giving them some guidance, some stuff for them to gravitate to. You being in the cybersecurity business, you've picked obviously the right horse. You've bet on the right horse because that's really, you know, accelerating. You know, leadership is. I don't know if you're not a good leader today. I'm not quite sure how you make it moving forward. But looking at the actual MSP community, what are some of the things that you're seeing that the successful ones are doing that they must do?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, a lot of the times they're focused on one thing that they do really, really well, and they don't extend their neck out, and they're really disciplined about it. And they say, nope, we're not going to take on that business. We're not good enough to pass it on, right? And you know, for an entrepreneur to not do that, it really takes discipline.
Scary.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say is, you know, you're not alone too, right? If you're like, you know, I talk to a lot of really small partners too, you know, 1 or 2 person operations, and they're looking at, well, how do I compete with, you know, the long views, the insight? How do I do that? Well, you know, you don't really have to. You service your local market the best way you can, right? And you're not alone, right? So, you know, if you need that extra, you know, fixed cost as a service solution, you know, you can partner with Jolera. And I don't want to make a pitch about Jolera, but I'm just saying, you know, that's one of the reasons why we pivoted away from being an MSP into this new model going forward, right? So we can help the channel partners in terms of like as a service solutions and a deep and talented bench and things like that. So that's what I would say.
And over a decade ago, we actually said that the future of an MSP is to actually look and act more like a vendor. So it's definitely the way to move forward.
Yeah.
Who knows what an MSP needs more than another MSP? And what would you say as advice?
I feel extremely strong about the fact that don't do it alone. Reach out. So not only reaching out to partner business-wise, but reach out peer-wise. We need one another on so many different levels that we could get into. What has kept me going strategy-wise over the last 18 months is I belong to 3 masterminds. I'm constantly using like-minded, bright, brilliant colleagues and friends to bounce ideas off of, there's not enough time to make all the mistakes ourselves. And so it does take a village. So join a village is my big suggestion.
I'm big on mentorship, right? I mentor 2 24-year-olds, a man and a woman, right? I find it absolutely tremendously one of the most favorite thing I do. And it's really, you know, it's a selfless thing, right? You're not there for yourself. You're only there to help, right? And, you know, it's that pay it forward mentality. I hope that when my daughters get out into the workforce, there's someone like us to help them out, right? Because I agree with you. It takes a village.
Don't you
right?
love when you learn something in the process? It's that, I believe I'm quoting Nelson Mandela, who says, when you shine a light for somebody else, you can't help but get some of the light on your own feet. That's so true. I come away from a day where, you know, somebody's picked my brain for whatever it's worth. And I go home thinking, wow, I do know crap. That's good.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's funny. The 24-year-old helped me out last week.
Nice.
Right. On something that I was just puzzled about, but he knows, you know, this audience, this, you know, this young adult audience, right, that are going to be the new future leaders. And, you know,
That's diversity.
sometimes I don't get it, right? I look at my 2 daughters and, you know, I feel lost talking to them, right? And, you know, I don't want to say my age or anything like that, but it is what it is. So it's great to have that perspective.
Not that old, Paul.
No, I'm not that old, but
There's
That's
a
why
saying
we
that
need
says,
diversity.
if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty cool
Yep.
saying. And you're talking about mastermind peer groups. And by the way, this afternoon, all the folks that's here is going to experience an actual mastermind peer group. And if you want to know how great it is, ask anybody who was part of a mastermind peer group. And
By the way, I've taken Glynis's program, and one of the things that I really learned from her was how to properly read the room, right? Before, it was just like gut instinct. Yeah, I've dealt with so many people, I can pick them out. But actually compartmentalizing the way you do really, really helped. Yeah.
But you know what? You also brought up a really good point, was you did that intrinsically by gut.
Yeah.
Right? We do need to recognize what our strengths are when we come to the table. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's an inside
So
job.
let's round this up. So let's look at, what is the best piece of advice each of us can give to the channel community out there for thriving in this digital first economy. Let's move beyond surviving. I think if we are here 18 months in, we sort of survived. Now we want to thrive, accelerate moving forward. What are some of your, who wants to go first?
I'll go, and I'm going to address this to a specific audience, and that's that demographic that you said was leaving STEM, not just tech, STEM in general. And that's our women leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the work that I've done in She Suite, what I have identified over and over again is we're our own worst enemy. And so my advice would be to women in the channel, and that is, you have far too much brilliance to waste. Get sold on you, because probably everybody around you is already sold on you. You just need to get good in your own skin. And I'm told by a lot of my male colleagues that message is not so different for male leaders as well in the channel. So get good in your own skin, know what your superpower is, be sold on you, and go out strong.
Good advice. Oh,
I got some sobering news in terms of advice. I think, we have to accept what the status quo is right now. We're in a pandemic, right? And everyone's looking to we have to get back to normal. I don't think we're getting back to normal. I spent 2 hours with a futurist, Matthew Griffin. You should look him up. And he outlined to me, and he convinced me that this is the new normal, right? We are going to have this with us all the time. That means these masks. So my mask is branded. So, you have to try to accept it, move forward. And one thing that it has benefited us is they've moved the digital first from the back burner to the front burner because of this. So that's one positive. So people are thinking along those lines and trying to solve, really tough business decisions moving forward, because this is something that we're going to have to, live with. As Ric Flair once said, learn to love it, because you're going to have to learn to live with it. If anybody knows Ric Flair from wrestling, that's what I say.
great advice.
Love it.
We just came through a Canadian, political election there, and we're right back where we were, years ago. So great, $600 million gets you right back where you were. But here's the thing. I would say take information in, listen to a lot of people, not just us, but everybody you can, and digest that and take a little bit away, from you, with you, and build your own, way forward, right? At each Channel News, we're bringing news of, literally hundreds of vendors every month. So there's tons of companies you can meet and do business with. But doing business with vendors, I think, is just one part of the equation. It's your team. It's how you are digitally transformed, how you actually help your customers to transform. And I must say, it's not easy, all right? This is hard. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? And it's really hard. And I really believe that it's the opportunity of a lifetime for our generation, because if we take the bull by the horns, we're going to be able to accelerate much further. So we're excited. We're doing this event, bringing this to you wherever you are living right now, whether you came to us in person or you're streaming from LinkedIn or YouTube. This is one of the things that we're doing to help the channel community to move forward. So
I have to say, you epitomize a trusted advisor, Julian. You bring information to people steadily throughout all of that, and you have created the vessel for community, and that's huge. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I'll send you the check.
And
later on.
congratulations for doing this.
This is
First
awesome.
person event. It's very bold.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
We'll be great at. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
And now we're going to
Thank
get
you.
into the next portions. We've got 3 more quick sessions approaching right now, and the first
Thank you.
one is with Dado. So if Dado is here. All right. See me? Oh, I'll just do this right. Hey, how's it going, man? All right. So this is the part when we just talk about, vendors and what you guys are doing, right? Because without you guys, we can't even do this, all right? So we appreciate you guys supporting this. And it's a big thing we're living in right now. And you guys just lived through 18 months of it. Is this your first in-person thing, or?
It's my second so
you
far
go.
in Quebec.
And you?
This is my first, yeah.
There you go. So Maxime and Martin, of course, you guys are from Dado. I mean, we've seen Dado grow up from the first day, and you guys are rocking it as I don't want to say channel first or channel only folks. But let me just get your, round for you guys. What was your experience like in the pandemic?
I mean, outside of sweatpants or no.
Well, we're wearing pants right now, by the way, right?
Honestly, it's been. I personally would say that it's been good for me, due to the fact that we were prepared to work from home. We were prepared with the right technology. So I felt more some difficulties in the market, in customers, with working with end customers. This is where it was a little bit more challenging, but I personally, I feel the business that were prepared, that had the right technology, that had the right mindset, it was an easier transition, right?
Perfect. And how was
Yeah,
yours?
so there was an initial shift in use of technology at Dado for example, setting up people for work from home. So we saw a shift in which products were being bought and sold. And during the pandemic, a lot of market segments were affected. So, restaurants, art galleries, gyms. So we were prepared to help our partners with some, financial relief on that side. Dado usually does the right thing. But we got through it, and looking back, if I speak to a lot of our resellers, they said that they had their best year, some of them by 50%. So it's interesting. With that
some did very well, didn't they? So you guys are in the field, right? You're talking to people virtually almost every day. By the way, are you virtually zoomed out, or you're okay with it still?
No, it's okay still.
It's okay still. Well, the new world we're living in. So what are some of the things that your channel partners have been telling you about how their story is within the community? What are some of the challenges that they have? Let's start with the challenges.
Well, definitely staffing. So there's every single partner I talk to say they can hire 2 more technicians or other positions tomorrow morning. So there's a general shortage of talent out there in Canada. And that's the biggest challenge. And, as somebody who's been with Dado for 6 years, one thing that hasn't changed is time is the enemy, right? Nobody has time to implement new solutions or look at things. When they do, it's very beneficial, but I would say time and staffing.
Time and staffing. What do you see?
I'm going to go with Marty on this one. Staffing definitely is the number one issue right now that people are living. I mean, the one thing that we hear, it's qualified resources. People are looking for qualified resources everywhere. And the fact that people are working from home now, that's a new reality. It opened the doors to many other regions to go get employees elsewhere, right? Overseas, there's a shift in hiring methods. People go in different countries to hire people. So it's no longer local. That's what I mean, right? So the lack of resources is definitely the number one. Time is one too. Plus, we've seen that the pandemic and working from home opened up different security issues in the market as well, right? So uh, you're probably less secure than how you were set up in the office, for example, right? So it brought up some different challenges for end users, for companies as a whole. Um,
Yeah, the work from home security issue was definitely a big one. You know, of course, you know, everyone had their own challenges moving through this stuff, personal, and also, you know, in the business community. When you look at your channel partners itself, would you say the vast majority is actually doing very well, or is there what percentage you think is still struggling?
I think they're still doing very well.
Mhm.
They could be doing better if they were able to hire, but no, I haven't seen any slowdowns through our core products or the conversations I'm having. Everything's very positive.
That's great news because if there is a challenge with finding staff, it means that they're ready to grow, but they just can't grow because they have no help to grow, right?
Exactly.
exactly.
When you look at the success stories out there, so the ones who've actually got the hires, they're doing the well, you know, got the things ready. What are some of the secrets, or I don't say secrets, but what are some of the things that they're doing that you think is contributing to their success?
They are adapting. Adaptation is key. Everyone has new realities. The end users, the end customers, the MSPs have new realities. One of the things also that our partners have to be doing right now, and it goes back to the lack of resources, and it's I'll use the like they gotta stay sexy for employees, right? They gotta stay relevant. They gotta stay on top of their game to retain those employees that they've probably worked hard to get. And this is one of the key factors that makes them successful today. So they got to be relevant to the market. They got to adapt to the new realities, and
Well, that's one way to put it. They got to remain sexy. So if you got, you know, channel, is it because they're losing employees or they want to hire employees?
I think it's primarily they want to hire. And I think you're seeing a lot of mergers and acquisitions in this space over the last few years. So, you know, there's only majorly like 3 big silos of companies now in what we do. So we're seeing that being condensed. So that's allowing people to reevaluate their tech stack, try and work with less vendors, if that makes sense, to be more efficient. So if you have, you know, one portal, one support number, one invoice, that certainly helps you streamline your and better utilize your staff and get your cost of ownership down across all products. So I think we've seen a lot of that, you know, with some security breaches with certain vendors, and you know, we've seen a lot of people jump ship and come to Datto to try to sort of unify their stack and use you know, one platform, if you will.
It's a good point. So give me, what's the latest with Datto? What's happening? What's the, I mean, you guys, I've just interviewed your product manager you've got a solution now to help Microsoft with backups and all that stuff. What's the latest from Datto?
So yeah, so we just launched Datto Continuity for Microsoft Azure. So, you know, now we're in Azure, and what we're trying to do is simplify the flat fee pricing model that Datto has and adapt it to Azure, as well as bring in all the you know, the backup solution benefits that we have today at Datto with virtualization and you know, all the feature set that we have in the backup world, and adapt that within Azure, so to make it a little bit more SMB friendly, flexible, easy to use, and also safeguard, you know, the data in our cloud in Canada as well. For the Canadian partners. So that's probably our newest product. And then we've layered another product on top of our Datto SaaS protection for Microsoft Office 365 and Google. And basically it's called Datto SaaS Defense. So it's more of a, you know, mail spam filtering and much more. And that's currently being rolled out in our early access program for partners that have the SaaS protection and want to have a look at something a little more robust.
Yeah, I mean, Datto usually, of course, they start off with BDR stuff, right? And then they expand doing lots of other things, and now you've got a pretty large suite to offer. When you look at the suite of Datto products right now, would you say that one of the challenges or things that you guys have or want to do is to get more of your partners to go a little bit deeper and wider within the Datto suite?
Sure, of course. So we just, some partners had dinner with a partner last night. He had no idea we had switches and access points. So that's through another acquisition that Datto did a few years ago. So yeah, if the stack makes sense, we'll show you the capabilities, and if you think it's a good fit, of course, we'd like you to use more of our products. But definitely, everybody operates their MSP differently. So, we pride ourselves on having best-in-class products that snap into each other and integrate with each other and save time and increases efficiency.
And that's a good point too, in the sense that a lot of partners have some specific expertise,
Mhm.
and you don't necessarily want them to go beyond what they're capable of doing or what they're focused on, right? You don't want all your MSPs to be yes men's or do things that they're not comfortable of doing. So Datto brings in a lot of products, security solutions that helps MSPs on different levels, but also in different sectors of activities, right? So yeah, for sure, they should be using if there are more broader MSPs or more generalistic MSPs, they should definitely go and look at what Datto has to offer, because we do touch on many aspects of protection or protecting or even preventing security breaches. But yeah, it's come with what you're capable of doing,
Mhm.
and we'll work around that with you.
So Maxime, you're relatively new to Datto. What attracted you to Datto besides Martin?
Uh, I mean, first of all, I would like to thank Martin for being here today. He's if for every Datto partners that works in Quebec probably knows him, right? He was the Quebec Datto representative for so long. So thank you for his expertise here today. And what brought me to Datto, honestly, I've been hearing of Datto for so long before I joined Datto, as innovative technologies, as a great company to work for, and to be honest, I've never looked back. It's actually a great place to be. The technology is right. The technology is good. The partners that we work with are excellent. I continue to learn a lot, and I'm capable also to teach a lot to those partners. So it's been only positive.
Great addition. Well, you guys are in the front lines, right? You're hearing the MSPs talk every day, right? What are some of the things that they want from vendors? And what are some of the things that you guys are giving them? Are you helping them in what? Marketing and what are some of the things you're doing to help them?
Yeah, so at Datto, we do have a global partner program. So, throughout our 18,000 resellers now worldwide, we try and adapt to help them with a marketing platform that's included with our partnership. So that's a tool that's accessible to them. We also have Rob Ray's team, which is the business development team, who you know well, and they're make themselves available to do whether these days it's a virtual type events, but also in-person events and MDF events. So we do have marketing funds set aside at Datto to help our partners grow, and to in conjunction with our team, really deliver some events that will benefit both moving forward.
Yeah, and to add to that, it's the help that we bring partners varies again from partners to partners, because some partners are excellent at marketing, they're excellent at promoting products and presenting products. Some of them are newer to the technology stacks that we have to offer, or even the security world. So the help can vary from helping them present or sell the solutions to their customers. Datto does not sell to an end user, by the way. We're partner channel first and channel only, to be honest. So we help them sell, we help them present the solution, we help them on the marketing aspect. We have a lot of MDF. So it's really, it varies from time to time, from partners to partners, and this is what's great. It's never a work that is always the same thing, right?
I think the last time we
Sounds
did the in-partner live event with you guys, on the panel, we asked what keeps you up at night.
Mm.
And I think everyone in the room basically said sales and marketing.
Mm.
So, these people are usually our partners are usually very savvy when it comes to technical stuff. Maybe not so much when it comes to sales and marketing, and that's why we step in and help them to get that done.
You know, we all got to pivot in this world, but you know, you guys also pivoted as well, right? What are some of the things that you guys did that you didn't even think you were going to do in the digital world we're living in right now? What are some of the things that you had to do just to maintain communications and relationships with your current customers? Was a lot of Zoom calls? Was a lot of Teams calls? What was it?
Well, I think that actually didn't change much. We've always kind of operated via Zoom or phone or email. We just can't be everywhere at once, but that this week was nice because I actually came to Montreal to meet some customers for the first time since the pandemic, which I'm used to doing and I like doing. But yeah, you're right. It was all pretty much virtual throughout the last 18 months, without even the option of, coming down and having dinner with customers. So it's nice to be.
How does it make
nice
you feel
back.
to be in person now? How do you feel?
That's where we do our best work, and it's nice to be face to face with people. Some who I hadn't met yet because it's been so long. So no, it's great to be back and meeting folks.
Good. And you, how does it feel?
Well, honestly, it was actually scary when I woke up yesterday because I realized that not many of my suits fit nowadays, right? So, I mean, the longer I walk is to go get a coffee and go back to my desk.
Yeah.
So, it's like Marty, it hasn't changed our day-to-day reality. We've always been on the phone. We've always been on Zoom calls with customers. I'd say going to events, meeting people feels great. What we're doing today here feels great. It feels right. It feels a little bit of normal, right? And it's been said before. I don't know if we're gonna get back to what it was before. So we have to adapt to this new reality. We have to adapt to what we're doing here today. Smaller events, broadcasting, right? And reaching as many people as possible. But as a whole, for us at Datto, it hasn't changed drastically, right? So it's good.
Well, look, I got a word for it. It's called COVID fat, just to be clear, right? And I got it, and I don't have a jacket on today, by the way. So I got to work that out. But yeah, I mean, obviously we're now pivoting in, and some people obviously don't want to be in person right now. But I think we're as safe as we're going to be, and they're going to take a few leaders to kind of jump into the waters to test it out. And I think we've put enough safety measures here that if we put another one in place, I think we'd be thrown out. But in general, we're as safe as we can possibly be, and being vaccinated and all the whole 9-yard stuff. But the channel also needs to kind of get there too, right? I mean, they've got to get out of that wherever they are and walking back and forth to that fridge. What are some of the things that you're hearing from them? Are they ready to do that?
There's a lot of partners that hasn't stopped doing what they were doing, obviously with new measures. I mean, there's a lot of MSPs that their value is to go on site, to go, taking care of whatever problems that their end customer has, and they cannot stop doing this because it's essential to their business to continue working. So we've seen a lot of people using different tools like RMM, for example, to start managing their customer a little bit better, a little bit more efficiently. But in terms of their practices outside of the what you have to do to protect yourself for COVID, thing hasn't changed much in that aspect, right? So there's less face-to-face prospection, but there's still a lot of physical activities. People have to go on site and fix problems, and that I don't think that's going to stop in the near future either.
What do you see?
Kind of the same thing. These guys do what they do. So yes, during the pandemic, they had the keys to their customers' offices, and then they would go at night when nobody was there. So I've heard stories like that. I think now it's a little more back to normal. Everybody can go on site with the proper measures. So it's slowly opening up again, and I haven't heard any complaints on that end.
What do you guys see as the near future for yourself as Datto? What are some of the things you guys are planning to do over the next, say, quarter to kind of get back to your customers?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, our DattoCon event is now just from Seattle. It's going to be virtual only. I think that's the trend with what's happening primarily in the US, just to be safe. So hopefully by October next year, we can have, a larger gathering of all our partners like we're used to doing. But for the time being, I think we're going to continue with virtual events and maybe smaller gatherings like this one. And in partner visits. That's all we can do. So we'll just follow ride the wave and see where it brings us in the next quarter. But it's certainly nice to have face-to-face meetings as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I can add, it's to also stay relevant with our what our partners are asking from Datto, right? So there are some partners that are asking for physical meeting. They're asking to meet us personally and have those meetings with keeping the right measures in place and making sure that we all stay safe. I think staying relevant to them is what we're going to aim at in the future. I mean, we've been doing it for so long, and today even more than before, it's twice as important.
It's almost like surreal we're living in this stuff, right? Because here we were talking about a new normal of meeting people face to face, and 18 months ago it'd be like, what? That's the way that life is. And here we are. But what I feel is like we have to thaw out. We have to unfreeze, right? We're all frozen for a while, and everything media scared the Jesus out of us, right? And now we have to kind of look at this proper and figure out what's real and how do we move forward, because if we all just stay at home, curl up, we won't be able to fit in any suit anymore. That's for sure. But then we're going to be able to kind of lead the channel community. So what would you say if you wanted to have a personal comment about the way we should be going about, getting back into the face-to-face world?
We cannot stop living.
Mhm.
We cannot stop living. We have to continue. I mean, life is still going. The world is still turning. We have to continue forward, and we cannot stop at whatever is happening right now. I mean, we've got business to run. We've got customers to help. We've got money to make, right?
Yeah.
So we got to continue working. And you're right. We should not stay scared about whatever's happening. We got to adapt, but I don't think we have to stop whatever we're doing. And I mean, the reality being what it is, as long as you take the good measure, nothing prevents you from working the same way like you were before.
Yeah, just be smart, right? And
Yeah, again, I want to increase face-to-face visits and meet the people I haven't even met yet. So no one's been reluctant to do that. So I'm going to continue to plan it out as best I can moving forward. So until the end of the year.
it's about time, I'd say, right? Because we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. When is the right time to pull the trigger? I mean, 30 days after the pandemic hit, we flipped to virtual, right? And the first 3 months was fantastic. And then all of a sudden, everybody says, no, I don't think I really like this virtual thing anymore, right? And there was a slow decrease. And I think the human element took over. And at this point, if we kept going like this, I think, what happens if you leave a car outside and you don't turn it up too often, it gets rusty and everything else. I don't know what the analogy is, but then we got to keep moving. I'll leave you guys with the last word. What do you want all the MSPs out there to know about Datto? And I'll ask you first, Maxime, and then Mark, you can wrap it up. And about you?
What I want them to know is that we're here for them, for the MSPs, for the IT providers of this world. We are partners of partner. We help them grow. We help them stay secure. We help them in perhaps areas that they're not currently doing or comfortable with, or we perhaps go help them on with technologies that they're not currently offering, right? So I would say, learn about us. We're extremely open. We have a Canadian presence in every region, and I say Canadian, but also it's the same reality in the States as well, right? So we're everywhere. We have some feet in Quebec as well. So if ever you guys need us, please contact us. We're more than happy to talk to you to see if there's a fit between the two companies and to help you. Our goal, our entire business model is that. So if you don't grow, we don't grow. Right? So we're here.
Good plan.
We're here for their success.
Perfect. And you, Martha?
Yeah, I would say that, we're happy to help to educate partners as well in MSPs and continue to deliver relevant information. So, if you go to our website at datto.com, even if you're not a Datto partner, we're happy to have you join one of our sessions, webinars, Zooms, with our large team that's marketing, business development, product experts. So there's a lot to learn. And then at that point, you can decide if you wanted to look at one of our 10 core products that's part of our platform or stack and see if you can gain efficiency or better security or more margin revenue, whatever is important to you as an MSP. So we can certainly help somewhere. I truly believe that.
And it's kind of a great time to reach out to your vendors because it's not, the noise is low now, right? So reach out to companies like Datto, right? Figure out how to they can help you and stuff. It makes a lot of sense. Well, all the best, guys. Datto, hope Rob is doing well, and the whole team down in the US. Sorry about having to cancel the go virtual from the live event. It's not great, but we will get back. This is day one of the step here in Canada, and hopefully we're going to keep making those steps moving forward.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure.
Thanks,
Thank
Julie.
you. Cheers. All right.
Take care.
All right. We have two more left, and then we're gonna have a break. If SureWeb is here. Sorry guys, I had a lot of the paper everywhere. Sandeep,
Hi, Julie.
how are you?
I'm doing well. Excited to be here. It's been almost 2 years since I've been to an event, so
2 years.
nerve-wracking but exciting at the same
Same
time.
thing here.
Yeah.
Well, maybe 18 months. The last one we did was our awards show.
Okay.
And who would have thought that we would actually, go from awards to like being at home forever? So is there any particular skills that you've learned over the COVID that you haven't learned before?
The very first thing was that I never thought I was going to do a lot of Teams meetings, right? And initially it was all on the phone.
Right.
Being on the camera, I was a bit shy, and a month after, it was like everything on the camera, everything on Teams. I found that I was able to connect better with the people because we were doing more face-to-face than I had done before in telesale type of role. The skill set I developed was really be empathetic because that was the time, where everybody kind of needed more empathy, whether that was in your personal life or your work or your partners that I worked with. And then just be willing to help. I think that went a long way.
Mine was cooking. I just started to cook a lot and I started to eat a lot more. So,
I tried to eat more, but I cooked less.
oh, you Ubered
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
Yeah, I do that too. But so Sandy, tell us a bit about what you do, first of all, at ShareWeb.
So my job is to really connect with the actual people, to appeal to the actual people. So my role is to really talk with MSPs day in, day out, to understand what are some of the challenges that they're facing. And now more than ever, it became a totally different mindset during pandemic. And then really help them understand how can they get creative, think outside the box, and get new opportunities, and then help them progress those opportunities to close. At the end of the day, MSPs get bombarded with a lot of vendors, different products. So really and Microsoft itself, it's such a complex ecosystem to understand. So really to take the information, kind of portray it in a simpler manner to them. And then of course, how can they be creative to sell more than they were before, which is to bundle, right? That's what we hear a lot more now. You can't make money just selling, whether it's Microsoft 365 or Google. You have to be able to bundle different solutions around to increase your average revenue per user. So yeah, you're having those kind of conversations. What is the next best offer that they could add to their stack that would make them a bit more revenue? And then of course, like, ShareWeb alone, we did a lot. We added a bunch of products. So all that information can get overwhelming for our partners. At the end of the day, my job was to really take that information to them and see where they fit in the picture, in the big picture, right? And what are some of the products that they could take advantage of and their clients could benefit from.
Perfectly. There's that bundle word again, right? Because you can't sell it one by one, right?
That's
You
it.
got to say this and this and this works well together. Here's the deal, that type of stuff. So for those who don't know ShareWeb, let me tell everybody what does ShareWeb do.
So I have a long answer for that. So we are a value-added cloud solution provider. We're heavily focused on adding value. We're not just a typical distributor pushing licenses. We want to do what's right for our partners at the end of the day. We work alongside MSPs to help them grow, to help them enrich their cloud offering, to help them maximize their value for their clients. To illustrate this commitment, what we did was we formed 4 pillars. Depending on where our partners needed help, we took a lot of feedback from our partners. So the first pillar was around, having a business strategy. Like, you can't be profitable if you don't have a long-term plan. So what we did was we added a bunch of different initiatives under that, different programs, depending on where partner needed help. The first one being marketing strategy. Like, we were finding that partners were, either didn't have the best go-to-market strategy. So how could we help them? So we, what we started was like, okay, guide them through step-by-step how they can hold events. Like, now it's not events, it's more like lunch and learn events or webinars. How can you get leads and turn these leads into buying customers? And then what we did was, Julie and I myself was finding on the phones that, a lot of partners that we were onboarding from our competition were leaving a lot of money on the table on the back end with Microsoft incentives. So we started our own MPN consultation services. So we have our in-house team that will get on the call with you. They'll do a screen share and see, okay, these are the competencies you're lacking. This is how much money you're leaving on the table, and let's get enrolled so you can, at least take that financial benefit from Microsoft. And then you've heard of Carl Palachuk. You've probably met him many times, right? So we did this pretty awesome program. That was one of my favorite. Like, it was called MSP in a Box. So it was like to help our partners transition away from that break and fix to like more monthly recurring revenue type of model. So he covered everything from like, what are the basics you need to know? How can you build bundles? How can you price them? And what are some of the processes you need to automate on the back end? So that was one of the, one of my favorite things that partners found extremely useful. So just under marketing, then we had like Partner University. Before COVID, partners were busy and then they got busier. So like, how can you stay up to date with the technology? So this was their opportunity to kind of like get more certifications under their belt on specific products they wanted to learn. So this is just one of the, the main pillar. And then we had cloud expertise. So Julian, as you know, now this is the great resignation era, right? So as per Microsoft's work trend index, 41% of the workforce is considering leaving their current employer, and that's this year. So that's going to make a big change, for MSPs. Getting skilled IT staff was a challenge before the pandemic, and now the pandemic and this new change, it's going to get more challenging. So how ShareWeb there can help is really they can leverage our team. They can, they have the whole team by their side. Depending on where they're lacking the skill set or where they need help, they can offload support. They can, leverage our marketing or sales team. So the whole team is, backing them up. And this will be a good help for our partners to come talk to us and let us know where they're struggling. And then third pillar is cloud solutions and services. So ShareWeb has been adding a lot of solutions over the past year. And these are the solutions we feel that our partners can be more profitable. They don't have to spend the time looking for the next best offer. Now they can just pick that smart bundle. Okay, this is what's working for MSPs, and this is something you can incorporate that will work for you too. So yeah, operational effectiveness is another big thing that you earlier touched upon. So you can't be, profitable if you are not efficient on the back end, and you're still doing manual work. And I'm still finding, having these conversations okay, integrate your, PSA tools so you can automate your billing. Like, that's 12 hours lost at the end of the month that you could be using on doing something more, creative. So yeah, sorry, long answer, but like, these are some of the things that SureWeb has been, focusing on to help our partners.
Well, you weren't kidding. It's a long answer, but it's a very good answer. You've covered a lot of things there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a really great point you because a lot of MSP out there, they always ask us, what can we do? What should we do? What's the low hanging fruit, et cetera, et cetera. And we always say, well, there's tons of stuff, obviously, but start with some of the vendors you trust, right? And most MSPs out there, they have a very good book of business for Microsoft products, and not very many people know it as good as or well as SureWeb, right? So start there and figure out where are those gaps, right? So when you look at the picture, right, of the MSP community that you're talking to every day, do you feel that there's a percentage of business that they're leaving on the table? Is there such a number?
Not a specific number, but like, basically what we encourage our partners to kind of find that opportunity that they may be missing is really to have the conversations with their clients, open the conversation, whether it's security, like, there's still a bunch of MSPs that are not comfortable with that conversation. So just start the topic that you feel that your client can benefit from, or understand their challenges. Like, if the client doesn't have a compelling reason to act on why they need a specific solution, it'll be hard for you to sell that, solution. So really find the problem and see what are some of the solutions that you can really, help them with. And security alone is a big topic. We encourage our partners to add different layers of security. So that would cover a bunch of products that can, help them increase their revenue.
And it's not very difficult to do, right? And they can add a decent level of security.
Exactly.
Can you give me one example of what you did with a particular MSP? They were doing X and then they do X plus Y, and then wow, they actually added incremental revenue.
Absolutely. So I think I'm going to throw the name. So I have a partner that is based out of Toronto, Wilkins IT Solutions. So basically, they were doing well, but like right before pandemic, what they did was that they put the smart bundle in play. So right at the start, they made sure that all their clients were moved to not just Microsoft 365, but also the productivity bundle they called. It included the backup, it included our security monitoring solution called Office Protect. So not only did their business not shrink during the pandemic, they grew with that strategy, and they were safely able to grow their business. And now I think they have more than 100 clients that are on this security bundle, or productivity bundle that they call. And now they are already achieving the numbers that they were forecasting previous to pandemic. During pandemic, everybody took a hit in one way or the other, right? So yeah, that's one example that I can think of, like, where we really encourage them to cross-sell, and he is reaping the benefits from that.
Great example. So you're there talking with MSPs all the time. Are there things that you could share with us that some of them are doing that you go, wow, that's a really cool thing? Or some things that they're doing not so good that you may want to say, maybe you don't want to do that?
The things that are working well is, again, like, connecting with the customers at a personal level. Really try to put yourself in their shoes to what do they really need. Previous to pandemic, it was all like, okay, these are some of the IT things nice to have. So okay, let's move forward. But now the conversations are a little different. It was, the budget that companies had was reallocated to something that was more urgent, right? So the things that worked well, like, it was really very industry focused, like partners that were had clients in the travel industry, like, they took a hit. And then the partners that were in the healthcare or e-commerce business, like, yeah, their business was thriving. So, the advice that we give is really to be diverse, like, to have as many verticals as you can, depending on your business model. So in the near future, if something like this was to happen, like, at least, you're not putting all the eggs in one basket. The things that they did well was really, like, at the end of the day is to, talk about security. Before pandemic, cybersecurity has been the topic of the conversation for the past decade, and it'll continue to be so. So we encourage our partners to open the conversations, have the conversations with the C-level execs to make sure they understand what's at stake, which is their most valuable asset, right? Like their data. So it's MSP's job to make sure that their clients are secure. Now, bad actors are getting more creative when people are working from home. Ransomware and phishing attacks are getting more sophisticated. So that's definitely a topic that we encourage our partners to have with their clients. And then leverage your web. If you don't have a go-to-market strategy, you don't have a business strategy, like, have a talk with us. We have tons of resources on the back end that can really help you navigate through this time.
A lot of MSPs always talk about, vendors are always trying to sell them something. And while fundamentally that's true, what I think they miss is that some vendors, like yourself being a distributor, actually are there to help them succeed, right? And you're a massive resource. Like literally under your umbrella, you have everything that they need to help them accelerate their business. Would you say that, I always look at numbers, right? But do you think enough of your partners or more partners should be taking advantage of this? Do you think they're not taking advantage of this?
I feel that, so basically what we did was we started to have a lot of partnership reviews with our partners, because there's so much for them that's coming through the emails and the calls. Like, it's hard for them to keep up with everything on top of, they have to run a business and cater to their clients. To really, take one step back and see really where you fit in the picture.
That's a great point, a review. So what do? You call them up and go, hey, time for a review? How's that work?
So, every 6 months, we want to have that call with them so they understand what's there. Of course, I'm still finding partners that don't have the right setup on the back end, or some are not integrating their PSA tools with our portal so they can automate their billing, right? So we're still finding partners, because we support more than 7,000 partners at the end of the day, right? So there are partners that sometimes are missed, and to have a conversation. I encourage our partners to be open to these conversations. At least I can understand what your objectives are, or I can help you set those objectives. And look, this is where you can leverage your web, and there's so much that they can leverage, right? Whether that's marketing and development funds, or we even do lead pass, right? So if I know what your business is about, I will be able to help you more, pass you leads, or hey, take the information back to my team, and this is where my partner needs help. Can we help them? And SureWeb, I feel, is a company that really puts its partners and employees in the front seat, and they're always open to feedback. If you give us specific things that, I would like to have, they will actually consider it and take it back and make those changes at the end of the day. I've worked at larger organizations, and I feel that SureWeb I really feel that they are there to help their partners grow, because that's the way we grow.
And I could actually tell you that I do believe it as well, because we've seen it happen. So, there's a large resources out there available from vendors is the key. And that's why we're actually doing this event with some vendors to show you, right, that you're not alone, right? You don't have to do this. And you can Google for advice, right, or whatever. But in general, the advice is actually very close to where you are. So when you're out there talking to channel partners, getting them reviews, which I love, by the way, what are some of the things that is SureWeb planning to do next to kind of double down? And I know you've added a lot of third-party products as well to build out your cloud stack so they can actually have more solutions, complementary solutions. What are maybe one or two of those things that sort of stand out right now?
So what we also did was we developed our in-house solution called Office Protect. It's a security monitoring solution. I've done a lot of events in the past, and that's what really brought MSPs to our booth, because it's a unique offering that's built upon Microsoft security, right? Now what we did was we rolled out Office Protect Alliance. So now what MSPs can do is, if they're short-staffed or they're overwhelmed, they can offload the help desk 24/7 NOC services to us and then to our company called GMS that we recently acquired that you might have heard of. Anyhow, going back to Office Protect. So yeah, they can basically offload 24/7 monitoring to us of their tenant, right? And partners can sleep in peace because we have a whole team of security analysts they'll analyze the data or see if there are any phishing attacks or any other attacks. They'll look into the alerts, and then they'll only raise it to the partner if something was suspicious. So that's one of my favorite products that we're rolling out to our partners now that partners are loving. Other than that, we acquired 3 companies in the past 12 months. So Global Mentoring Solutions is based out of Toronto. You might have heard of them. So that now our partners can leverage to offload their NOC services and help desk. And then also we acquired C2 Innovations. It's a IT service management company. So now partners can again, offload some of their work, automate some of their processes on the back end, the workflows. So it's constant work in progress. So now I think the next quarter or the next year is really now we have a big stack of solutions and services we're offering to our partners. Now it's to educate our partners to make sure they understand that they have all these options with us.
That's another really great point, because a lot of MSPs out there, right? They think, okay, I think ShareWeb, okay, I got the Microsoft stuff. Or, I think Datto and I have whatever, BDR, whatever product that you're known for. But in reality, you're constantly adding to this suite, right?
Yeah.
And, what's the point of doing that? Why are you doing that?
So it's really I said earlier, basically we connect with our partners and we take their feedback. And how are we going to give them that competitive advantage, right? So it is one, by having our own IP, developing our own solutions, but also to make sure that they can become that one-stop shop for their clients. So our goal at the end of the day is to equip them with the right products, to give them the right skill set that they need to be competitive, to be able to survive in the competitive world out there.
It's great insights. Just to wrap this up, what exactly would you say that if you had to give advice to partners on their business in general, what are some of the things that you would tell them that they must be doubling down? Is there particular things they should be doing, or are there particular industries they should be targeting?
To leverage their network, to kind of double down on is, keep up with the technology, which is hard as it is. Continue focusing on getting your employees or your clients' employees, protecting their data, and make sure that they are helping them with the cloud adoption and the digital transformation. I was talking to one of my partners yesterday, and he's like, before COVID, you'd talk about cloud and they're like, yeah, we'll think about it. And as soon as COVID hit, it's like, okay, we need cloud now. Not, having even the idea of what cloud is. But so now, that focuses there. People, the awareness of cloud is a lot more with SMB, clients who now are on cloud. So what I suggest is really to take advantage of that. And if you can expand your business, yes, but if you can't, then do leverage partners like ShareWeb and GMS.
I'll leave you the very, very last word before we run to the next vendor. What do you want all the MSPs out there to know about you, Sandeep, and ShareWeb?
Is that I'm there to help them. I'm there to help them grow their business. So let's have the first conversation, get you started to just learning about what ShareWeb's all about. If you need training, we'll make sure that I align the right resources on the back end. I might not have all the answers, but I will find the right resource who can, get on the call with you, whether that's pre-sales or it's marketing or it's, anything post-sales in terms of support. I'll get the help they need.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. You did extremely well. And now I know a lot more about ShareWeb as well. So again, I just want to iterate that, the channel community is the resources to help you is there, right? Just pick up that phone, call, and get it done, right? Amazing stuff. Get the review, I would say, right? Start with the review.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Cindy.
you, Julian.
Bye-bye. And thank you. And my last one for this afternoon is, you see we're net to phone. And so if Tim Brighton is here, Tim, welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, we're not asleep because, the Tonight Show and all those folks, with all the music and stuff, but we're just channel folks. So, Tim, welcome.
Appreciate it.
Hey, so thank you for coming out. We're all in person a little bit. We're all dusting off and everything else. You've been having challenges with the suits and like the other folks?
You know what? Fortunately, the suit actually fit. I was kind of a little happy about it. Like a lot of
the game.
Well, you know what? The entire thing from a COVID standpoint was actually great for me. I've got a little place up at a ski hill, Tremblant, and fortunately, I normally get about 20 days of skiing in a year, and I think I did almost 70 last year. So
Yeah.
I've been able to get out and get a little bit of exercise. So it's actually not been that bad. It's not been that great for me, but it hasn't been that bad.
Now I'm really jealous now.
it's
Yeah.
it's been fantastic actually. Like kind of hoping for another kids go back to remote learning so I can head back up there.
Well, you never know. With this pandemic, it could be anything.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us. And I know Versature was the company before.
Yeah.
You guys saw there's a name between a transition out to net to phone. So give
Exactly.
me the highlight about that to start.
So the interesting is Versature actually started as an MSP. So when you look at the MSP business, the model, the understanding of the market, that's where our grassroots were. There was three different founders. Eventually, the business progressed. They started their own phone system out of the fact that a lot of their customers were requesting a phone system. They were tired of dealing with different providers, 45-minute wait times, that sort of thing. And what ended up happening was one day they just realized that, the amount of revenue coming from the phone aspect of it far surpassed what was happening on the actual MSP side of the business. So the transition was made, and Versature as a company created its own platform. And being a Canadian exclusive provider, all of our product is manufactured in Canada. All of our supports in Canada, our sales efforts are in Canada. Everything about the company is essentially Canadian. What happened was about 2.5 years ago, a company called IDT, which is a multi-billion-dollar global entity, thousands and thousands of employees around the world, came in and made an investment into Versature. And it was only a couple months ago that we decided, like every other business, there was the fact that we had to make an investment in corporate branding, in a new website, that sort of thing. There was actually no pressure from net to phone to actually make that transition of a naming standpoint, because we had a great name in the industry. We've got a lot of partners, a lot of direct customers also. But what ended up happening was we made that transition over to net to phone to, really show the market that not only are we a Canadian organization, but we're also a global organization with thousands of employees around the world. So offices in Brazil, the US, Australia, you name it, there's pretty much an office for IDT or net to phone.
Well, you retired the dolphin logo.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the dolphin is it's been around for a long time, and I've got some friends on the West Coast, and he's got a young lad who's about 6 years old. And I think I tried to scrounge up every last dolphin hat for that guy, because he won't wear any other hat than the Versature dolphin hat. So yeah, we're sad to see the dolphin go, but it's a bit of a new chapter. Versature, 2 years ago, we were Canadian only. When the investment happened, we were about 30 employees. To give you an idea, I'm going to hire probably 30 employees in the next 30 days. So the growth has been exponential. We've got well over 100 employees across Canada now. Kind of like a lot of the other companies that we service and we work with. The pandemic hit, and we kind of looked at our business, and we were an Ottawa-only company. And we have this beautiful Ottawa office in the East End, and we just re-outfitted it about a year ago, and it's fantastic. But the problem was, we looked, and all of a sudden we were like, why do we have people just in Ottawa? So now, we just did a tour for all of our employees across Canada, where we took them all out for dinner. So it used to be a nice little dinner in Ottawa. Now it's Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver, Calgary. We're in the process of looking at the Vancouver market, and we're looking for an actual office in the Vancouver market now too, because we've just expanded so much that it's been great growth. So it's been awesome.
Amazing stuff. Yet another example how MSPs actually figure out how to solve problems and then become a vendor and then help MSPs solve the same problem. So let's talk about, the VoIP market, UCaaS and stuff like that. I mean, one of the things we know for sure during the pandemic was that we couldn't go and meet people anymore, and we needed that, right?
Yep.
And even though there are things like Zoom and Teams and so on, there are some challenges, right? With when you put digital telecommunications baked into that. So what are some of the growths? Obviously, you're growing really fast.
Yep.
But where do you see that happening, and why VoIP and UCaaS is just blowing up right now?
I mean, the big thing for us is when companies all of a sudden started to have to work from home, and everybody couldn't come into an office. People were trying to integrate legacy phone systems where everybody's got a cell phone, and everybody does have a cell phone. But when you're talking a team of tech support individuals, when you're talking an accounting group that have to have inbound phone calls, they don't want their employees calling from their personal cell phones out to customers. They want it to look like it's still a corporate environment. And that's something that really helped us grow, is because all of a sudden companies needed the ability to have a phone that they're actually working from home, and not necessarily just a phone. We see a lot of people migrating over from the stereotypical, desk phone, and I will tell you, we probably move more phones than we can imagine. But the fact is, people are going to. We still have Sonar, which is based off the good old Dolphin, which is our basically, it's a platform that allows you to make a call right off a web browser. We've got the app. So we have a lot more companies that are transitioning from using the actual hardware-based device to strictly using soft phones, but still giving them the ability to operate their business like they would, like everybody's in the office. Same thing we look at, police forces. They're having people that are working from home because they can only put so many people into the call center environments. Corporations where they have everything from call centers, they have executives that are now working from different spots. They don't want to be giving out their corporate cell phone numbers. We actually called for one of our vendors a tech support the other day, and I literally had the most difficult time getting a hold of somebody because of the simple fact they're trying to move to cell phones. And because they're utilizing cell phones, we had to go up to a level 2 support. So he had to tell me to call back in so that it could transfer me back to another individual, because they can't transfer from cell phone to cell phone. So all these different types of challenges that companies are having. And the thing is, we work in the SMB space. So, where we really excel is in the 5 users up to 1,000, 1,500 users. We don't really go after the larger. Everybody can go and fight over that space and the long rollouts that it takes to roll out 2,000, 3,000 phones. We do have some large scale customers that have those types of deployments, but the fact is, we do operate in the SMB, and that's where we're seeing a lot of companies that have struggles, and they're really trying to maintain their business model. And because of that work from home thing, they just haven't been able to do it.
So you've got a rock solid solution. You're rocking it out, all the MSPs. Let's talk a bit about what you guys are seeing and what you guys are doing with MSPs to sort of help them navigate this storm we're living in. And what are some of the things that you guys are doing as a company to help them?
Sure. I mean, one of the biggest things, and I've been in the channel for, 15, 18 years, 20 years, whatever it is now. There's always been a lot of channel conflict between different types of companies and vendors, which is you see companies come on and say channel centric, channel first, all these types of terms. And what we basically did is, because we've expanded so much, we decided that what are the key things that, and this is probably nothing that anyone hasn't already said, but the challenges that are facing an MSP, especially the Canadian market. There's laws against how you can email market to people. You just essentially can't do it. It's a very difficult thing to do with the Castle laws. When you're talking about SEO campaigns, different types of marketing campaigns, we assist them with that. But one of the biggest things that we had is finding net new business, but also finding the business within their clientele base. So one of the things that we did is we actually fired up an entire outbound calling team that works with our channel partners, that we will actually create a future list of every one of their customers. We will call them on their behalf. We actually match a cold caller to the actual company. They create a common talk track. They represent the organization that we're calling in from, and we actually build a pipeline of business for that company. And the thing is, most MSPs are great at selling, everything from managed services, but when it comes to the phone systems, that sort of thing, it is a different beast, and a lot of them struggle with it. So we actually pair up salespeople with them so that when it comes down to it, for us, it doesn't matter whether it's a direct engagement or a channel engagement. They're actually using the same salespeople, same sales tools. We make a huge investment corporately in all the digital tools to allow us to assist customers, everything from sending reporting, all of the channel things, all the things that the channel partners really need.
Here's yet another example, right, of a vendor who in the VoIP business, baking your own call center, flipping that, allowing that to drive, marketing into and leads and generating leads for your partners. Something that most MSPs would say, I will not do that, right? I will not have a call center and do that. And you guys do that and generate leads for them. And I just want to add that even when you are doing it to promote the actual VoIP solution that you're offering, when that customer comes into the sales funnel of the MSP, then you can sell them the other stuff, the Lenovo stuff, all the managed service stuff, and so on and so forth. So it's an opportunity again where MSPs can simply reach out, right, and literally have that type of a support. And what does an MSP have to do to be part of that?
Well, I mean, quite frankly, is just be a partner of our organization. There are no restrictions to it. So what they do is, supply us and a list, or we actually, we've invested in all the great tools, the Zoom Infos of the world, and all those sorts of things. We will assist them in developing lists themselves for them also. We will do co-branded digital events. We're doing a lot of those right now, where we're actually helping them fund those types of events. But one of the biggest things is taking their actual database of customers that they've worked with in the past, as well as present, and assisting them to create that funnel. Knowing when renewals are going to be coming up, getting ahead of that for them, so that when it comes down to it, they've got a complete list of all their customers and when the renewal is going to be coming up, so we can go after that business at the right time. And that's really important for the MSPs, because quite frankly, typically they get a phone call from one of their customers and say, listen, we just signed on to this XYZ cloud-based and it's not working. So, the other thing that's kind of great from a channel standpoint is every time somebody rolls out in the MSP world, new firewalls, backup appliances, that sort of thing, you've got a margin associated with it. And when it comes to managing it, you have to put on the RMM onto it. So there's a cost of the RMM, there's a cost of managing the RMM. How we work our program is we actually have got a bit of a white glove service that we actually deploy the entire thing for the customer. So anytime the customer's got an issue, they pick up the phone, they dial 611, within 90 seconds, they're connected to one of our people in Ottawa. They walk them through all the issues. And it's not an issue of my phone isn't working. It's my phone isn't working. I need to set up my forwarding. I need to use my, Smart Connect, whatever it's going to be. They'll handle any single issue. So the MSP doesn't have that cost associated with managing that customer. So what ends up happening is the margins end up being much greater on ours, because essentially there's no cost associated to it.
One way for them to get around the hiring people, shortage. One of the things that MSPs would always say is, wait a minute, wait. Why would I want to give you my list, right? My customers, and put that into your house, right? That's my family jewels type thing. You're not stealing their list, are you? What are you doing with their list?
No, so we've segregated in our Salesforce. So we run one consolidated Salesforce. We've got this beautiful little contract that everybody signs off on that gives everybody the legal protection that is needed to understand that this is their list. The other thing is, anytime a customer, so as soon as we load any of those lists in, it is automatically tagged to that MSP. So even if a year and a half from now, someone calls us up and says, we're looking for this type of an application. They go through the sales process, they sign on, that automatically gets tagged to the MSP. They get their 4 months of spiff automatically right out of the gate. And then we run an evergreen contract. So that person actually gets paid for that contract forever. Even if that MSP no longer does business with that customer, we will continue to pay them forever on that contract. And, we average, 6 to 7 years on average. We have customers that are 15 to 18 years of being with the organization. So when you start looking at the fact that you're getting a check every single month for the next 12 years, 7 years, 5 years, and for some customers you're not even doing business with anymore, that's a really, really attractive situation to be in.
I mean, it's an insane value proposition, and I don't think a lot of MSPs get that. I mean, VoIP is something, and I just want to add one more thing about VoIP. My thing that I always tell MSPs about VoIP, the initial pushback has always been, man, that's not my space. I'm into the security thing. I do the Microsoft thing. I do the other thing. I do the other thing, right?
Yep.
And I will say, if you're not doing the VoIP thing, someone else is. And when they get in there, they're also doing the other things you're doing. So it's you can't not do it, right? It's like we're beyond that discussion. And I think the pandemic just sort of made that quite obvious, right? So when you're looking at your success stories, just to kind of wrap this up and looking at the MSPs that all in with you guys,
Yeah.
what does that look like? What does a successful MSP look like for you?
So we're working with a lot of MSPs that are a little bit more into, so we do a lot of Teams deployments. We've got some really cool technology coming out that's going to assist us with the licensing programs on the Microsoft piece from the Teams side of things. So what we're looking for is essentially the more progressive MSPs. The folks that want to, or that understand that they need to control all of the different pieces within their customers' environments, and get all the revenue that they can from it. The ones that want to grow, the ones that don't have the sales ability, but they're willing to say, like, listen, I don't know how to do this that great, but if you're willing to help me, come and help me. And those are the customers that we are willing to really invest in, and really help to grow their business, as well as, like I think it was, because Melinda was that it's a win-win for all parties involved. And we're looking to invest in those partners. And so we've got some amazing partners all across the country that are willing to take that investment and that jump with us. And, fortunately, because we've got a large investment in the organization, we're able to grow at a rate that, a lot of these guys unfortunately just can't do, but it's a benefit to them.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, and the low-hanging fruit here is the Teams, isn't it? Because Teams got this thing called, communications, right? And it's not quite out of the box. It's not as great as you'd like it to be, right? But what do you guys do specifically to make that right?
Well, I mean, the Teams piece, so for us, it's we've got a Teams plugin that makes it essentially transparent. So when you're looking at the Teams piece, it's very difficult to work as an entire business structure on a phone system, from your call attendance, from your voicemail system, all that sort of thing. So we actually integrate it directly into the Teams piece. Now, you do require I've got a computer science degree and a marketing degree, and I still can't figure out half of the licensing requirements that are needed for some of these deployments. But I will tell you that having that consolidated piece, it just allows organizations to be able to do it. And the nice thing is we've actually got a new, I'll kind of throw it out there. We have a new technology that's coming out, which allows us to, for those not heavy users of the Teams piece, it reduces some of the costs of getting into it. So we can still have the overall system for the organization, which is heavily into it. But that's a big piece that we continually invest in from a integration standpoint. And that's really kind of for us, when you look at the Salesforce integrations, the Zohos, we try and bring out one every, quarter, 6 months type thing where it's a big one. And that's a big investment from our side of things.
For me, it's low-hanging fruit. Again, MSPs always ask us, like, what is the low-hanging fruit stuff I can do right now to kind of actually scale up, make more profits, more margins, yada, yada, yada. And I mean, it's kind of obvious. I mean, everybody can Google to see how Teams grew in the last 18 months, right? It's insane, right? And you can actually make that a much better experience, right, with your work technology. What do you want to tell as the last word here? What do you want all the MSPs out there to know about Net2Phone, also known as the Dolphin folks?
Absolutely, as known as Versature/Net2Phone. I mean, for us, it's just, it's the support mechanism. Versature and Net2Phone has always been known as one of the premier companies to offer support in the organization. So when it comes to their customers and being taken care of, we mimicked our model to the SaaS world. We have customer success teams. We have one-on-one onboarding teams. So we really take care of their customers so that when it comes to them proposing us to their organization, they really have nothing to worry about. We make it a seamless and easy proposition. And the big thing is we're there to support them from a standpoint of sales, technical, whatever they need. We're willing to invest in their business as well as ours.
Thank you very much for joining us today for our first in-person / live streaming event. Thank you very much. And again, it's a great opportunity for everybody. Cheers.
Thank you very much, man.
Cheers. All right. So we're wrapping up part one. I believe what time we are, Marie? 11:30. So we've got, we're wrapping up this part one. We're going to start again. We're going to have a little lunch and relax a little bit. I'm going to rest my voice for a little bit, and then we're going to start back at 1:30, and we're going to have another discussion about best practices for MSPs. And then we're going to have a quick lines then where vendors can make a quick pitch to everybody. And then we're going to wrap up here, and everybody who is here with the in the in-person event, we'll do some mastermind sessions and whatever. So I just want to, reiterate what we've all been talking about here today. We started off by talking about, what large vendors like Lenovo's are doing, right? Massive resorts, they're pivoting, they understand what's happening in the marketplace. They're going and buying all the data that they need, and they're making sure that they're going to guide MSPs along the way. That's for sure. And if you need help, ask them, because they're looking to find ways to help their partners, right? And we had a little wrap up where we talked about, what's it like being in the digital first economy, right? And there's a lot of things you got to do. Like, this is not easy stuff, right? You got to be in the leadership game. You've got to make sure you literally build a plane while fly a plane while you build the engine, and that's not easy as well. So digest that information, and if you could take away one thing from the morning session, is that the vendors are here and there to help you navigate this journey. And I heard some stuff here that I didn't even know before. So if I was an MSP, I would be reaching out to these vendors to figure out how can you help me, roll out of this pandemic and, into this new successful world that we're living in. So thank you very much. We're going to sign off for now. We'll be back at 1:30 live on LinkedIn. Thank you all, folks, for talking to us on LinkedIn and or watching us on LinkedIn. And we'll get your comments and give you some answers on the other half and on YouTube as well. Take care. Thank you.